This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Biotropic Labs. Biotropic Labs is a company that makes its own natural and healthy custom formulated sports supplements. I tried them out. Paul has also tried them. We both like how we feel on them. It dramatically and positively improved our performance, allowing us to train and work out at a much higher level and with much more endurance. His products are built around a blood support and oxygen delivery. To learn more about their products, please visit them on the web at biotropiclabs.com. At checkout, use the promo code UNION10 to receive 10% off your order. Your order is also backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, zero-risk purchase. Again, that's biotropiclabs.com. Use the promo code UNION10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
This episode of the Grappler Union podcast is brought to you by BJJ Tees. Go to bjjtees.com, enter the promo code Grappler Union, and save 10% off all your jiu-jitsu apparel. Go to bjjtees.com today.
This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Strychnine Jiu-Jitsu, makers of vintage-inspired tees, hoodies, and rash guards. Go to strychnine.co, that's STRYCH9.co, and use the promo code UNION at checkout to receive 20% off your online order.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Grappler Union Podcast. Paul Maloney alongside Anthony Zito. On this episode, we have Paul Sharp in studio. Paul's a black belt under Chris Haueter, and he's the owner and head instructor of SBG Illinois. Enjoy.
I hate the 6 minutes. That's what happens in that 6 minutes.
You told me using any technique that works. Never to limit myself to one style. Keep an open mind.
When I hit you to take part, we're here to take over.
In order to become more peaceful, in order for you to become better and strategize your life.
We're live. All right. Welcome, Paul Sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we were just talking about how you got your black belt under Chris Haueter.
Yes.
Okay. And you're purple under him too, right?
Yes.
So who'd you get your brown under then?
I got my brown belt from Cecil Birch.
Okay.
So one of Megaton's black belts.
Okay.
And he coaches, kind of runs Megaton's gym and competition team. So what had happened was, so like a lot of things in our journey, right? So in our journey, a lot of things, I got my purple belt around in 2003, I got my purple belt. And I became just enamored with no-gi. You know, that was kind of the beginning of like the rubber guard. Chris Brennan was doing this insane stuff. I can't remember the guy's name. It's like Mark Hanish, I think. A couple other guys were doing some really cool stuff. And John Cavanaugh came over to a straight blast gym camp, and he had spent a summer with Chris Brennan, and he just demolished me. Like he did some just sick no-gi, like heel came out of nowhere underneath my chin, you know, stuff from the guard. And I was like, what are you doing, man? You know,
Cavanaugh?
Cavanaugh. Yeah. And he started doing this crazy slick stuff. And I just got I fell in love with it. So I didn't wear a gi again. I'm like, that's it. I'm out, you know, drop the gi and walk out, you know? Right. And I spent like the next 10 years just pursuing that kind of stuff, just blending all the different forms of no-gi wrestling together, going back to kind of to my roots, because I started as a wrestler as a little kid, and just pursuing that, and really just fell in love with wrestling in general, and not just like American form of wrestling, but like the wrestling that's found in every culture all over the world. Like you look at a vase from like 2,000 years ago in some little tiny country that's like not even as big as Chicago, and there'll be some picture, right, or painting of two dudes wrestling, like some guy will have wrist control and a necktie, and they're like just like going at it, you know. And I thought that was just fascinating, and I just wanted to dig deep into it and learn as much as I could about it. Well, the downside of that is you can't get promoted, you know, and you can't kind of take that journey up the belt train, you know. So I just had to accept that, you know. And I talked a little bit with Chris, and he's like, dude, do what you got to do.
Well, where'd you meet him at?
At the Straight Blast Gym camps.
Chris was there as well.
Chris Haueter, yeah. He's kind of the godfather of the Straight Blast Gym, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know, like all of us kind of trail through him. You know, that's kind of where we chain ourselves back.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So, but The name of his gym is Combat Base. Is
Combat
it?
Base.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did SBG kind of spawn off of that, or where did the name
SBG was kind of an entity of its own prior to that.
Okay.
And we just kind of didn't have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
affiliation?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so that's where.
So was it more of like a wrestling MMA gym at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And JKD kind of stuff
Okay.
and all that, and
Yeah.
trying to kind of find their way. I wasn't really with them prior to that,
Right.
And so then Chris came around, and then that was it, man. He's just a fit, you know.
Yeah.
And
And this was where was this located?
they're in Portland.
Okay.
So Straight Plus Gym was in Portland, and
So you guys were kind of looking for like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu affiliation, or like kind of a lineage to tie yourself to?
yeah, somebody that kind of like. I mean, at that time, there was a lot of politics involved too,
Okay.
with the different Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu groups, and you know, there's not really unrest, but just a lot of things going on with different groups breaking off and splintering off and forming their own things and all that. And man, I just wanted to roll.
Right.
You know, I just want to like, can I just roll, dude? I
Right.
mean, if you want me to wear a plain white gi and a white belt, that's cool. I want to learn,
Yeah.
you know? So just, can I come in here and learn? And so Chris is like one of those guys that kind of falls in the cracks of all that stuff because he's one of the Dirty Dozen. So all those guys have known him since he was young, you know, when he started with them. So we kind of get a pass sometimes, I think. I don't think it's that bad anymore, the tribalism type thing.
Okay.
But there for a while, you know, it was kind
So
of like.
for the listeners out there that might not know, explain what the Dirty Dozen is.
So the Dirty Dozen are the first 12 people to get black belts outside of Brazil, or non-Brazilians
Yeah.
to get black belts.
Right.
So
Were they all American?
I don't think so. I think there was a Japanese guy in there.
Was there?
I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, Chris was like third or fourth, you know, and and he's a super cool dude. We hit it off. You know, we think a lot alike,
Yeah.
you know.
Who
And
is Chris under now?
Higgin.
Okay.
So
And he got his black belt in 95?
I believe 1995.
Damn, yeah.
I mean, he might correct me on that, but I believe it was 1995.
Right.
So he's been at it a while, man. So it's kind of, man, when you think about that, right? Like, you think about these cats that they got their black belt before I even knew really what
Before it was
Brazilian
here,
Jiu-Jitsu
right.
was about.
Right.
Like, I remember seeing Hoist fight. I lived in Miami at the time. I saw Hoist fight in the UFC, and I had trained like a smattering of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at that point because of Paul Vunak and the Progressive Fighting System guys.
That's what I did too.
Yeah, so those guys had kind of introduced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to me, and at that point, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu knowledge was an armbar from mount,
Yeah.
and how to upa, and how to hold guard.
Oopa.
Right?
Wow,
how to
that's a blast.
right, how to hold guard for dear life, you know, because
Yeah,
I didn't know what else
that's
to do
it.
with it.
That's
Yeah,
all we used to do.
and that
And
was
rear naked chokes.
rear nakeds. Yeah, those were awesome because nobody knew what to do with
No
that.
one knew what
Like
to
you
do.
get on their back and guys are like, "What are you doing, man?"
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and then put them out.
Yeah.
You know, but so you know that was the thing. So I knew when I saw the UFC, like I knew what was going to happen. There was no doubt in my mind. But you know, we really didn't have anybody to train with and anything like that. And so when you think about it now, like there's guys that got their black belts then, you know, and they're still out banging around and teaching and sharing knowledge and stuff. And that's kind of humbling, man.
Yeah.
Like kind of freaks you out a little bit too, you know, because like, holy cow, there's so much knowledge sitting in this body that just tapped hands with me and wants to roll a little bit.
Right.
You know, like this guy's forgotten more about jiu-jitsu than I'm ever going to learn. You know?
It's so true.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's been a black belt longer than I've been doing this, and I've got the opportunity now to like actually touch this person, you know, and trade, you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, that little exchange we all have when we kind of roll around with people. And it's like, man, you know, and you have like 100 questions that you want to ask them, and then it's over and they're like, hey, thank you. And,
Right.
or, you know, hey, you know, maybe you should keep more shoulder pressure or something like
Right,
that.
right.
And then they walk away and then you get in your car and you're driving home. You're like, oh man, I got like 50 other questions I want to ask them. You know? And I have them right
Exactly.
there. But you
Yeah.
know, it's just, it's cool, man. I think that's what's cool about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, because you can't do that in any other art.
No.
I mean, you think you know, could we walk into like Mayweather's camp right now and just say, hey man, you know, can you hold pads for me and maybe tell me what I need to work on?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
They're going to call security,
So
man.
true.
They're going to throw me in a dumpster when it's over. You know,
Right.
it's like, you know, it's like no other combat art
It isn't.
really fight sport could we do that in?
Yeah.
You know, even to some degree, judo is kind of, you know, closed off as far as that kind of stuff goes. Like you can get in with, like, I think with the newer generation guys like Travis Stevens and those guys, like you could probably get in and exchange ideas with them or even ask them questions and stuff. But, you know, not I don't think not to the degree like you can with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where you can find Haueter at a seminar and just talk to him.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and if you feel like it, you can even ask him like, hey man, would you mind passing my guard and tell me what I need to work on? Because it's not a question if he's going to pass it.
Right,
it's just, you know,
When you pass it. Yeah.
I was at open mat today, and I got to roll with I think it was 4 black belts, and they destroyed my life.
Sure.
As they should.
Right.
But you know, it's just that thing. Like, you know, I was rolling with Sam Spiegelman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Sam and I were rolling. It's the first time I actually rolled with Sam, and he's super smash. You know, he's huge.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah. And like during the roll, I'm like, Sam, I'm 130 pounds, bro. Like, let's ease up, okay? Just a little bit. I really can't. I can't get injured before Worlds, you know, because I don't want to, you know what I mean? Because then he'll, you know, forces me to go hard, and I just don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
So afterwards, he's you know, showing me what I need to do to kind of keep him off and keep a little bit more of a distance, which I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense now. What I was doing, you know, I was framing on his shoulder,
right?
But then he just smashed it down, and I'm like, framing, he smashed it down. He goes, okay, 2 hands. Yeah. Okay, let's go 2 hands, and then get that knee up there, and now you got a good frame, and now you're not. Now I can't smash that down.
Right.
But when I got the one hand up, he just kept smashing it.
Right.
So, like you said, it's so nice to sit there and be able to roll as a high level black belt. Afterwards, he's gonna, you know, give you pointers. You know, it's really cool.
It's really cool, man. And I don't think
awesome.
I've never encountered it in any other sport or art. You know, I mean, I trained at Lord's Gym in Miami for a while, which is a really good boxing gym.
Okay.
And no, man, you know, you'd have guys walking around. Roberto Duran was there for a little while.
Oh, wow.
Super cool dude, you know, but there was never that kind of openness like we have in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where you could just walk up to him and kind of have a conversation about like, hey, dude, you know, when I was going on the bag earlier, did you see anything you think I should work on? You know, like that's not going to happen. And it's not
so
that
fascinating. It's like a totally different, like, you're right. Cause it's like, I want Paul to tell me what I'm doing wrong, or if I do something to Paul, I tell him exactly what I did to do it, and so he can try to stop it next time.
Right.
Because I want to be, you know, I want him to beat me, and then let me try to beat myself. Like, okay, I told him how to pass my guard. He'll see if he can pass it. If he passes it, now I got to figure out how I can stop him now.
Right.
And keep that chess game going.
Keep the growth going.
Keep the growth going.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, when you think about it, right? Like, this is really about human evolution. Like, we're forcing evolution. And it goes back to that old saying about, like, how rising tide, you know, it raises all ships. So if I make everybody around me better, it's going to make me better, particularly in this, you know? And especially when we think of, like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo. I mean, I consider Judo part of Jiu-Jitsu, you know?
As you should, right?
Yeah, right, you know? And so, you know, my throws, all that stuff, I just look at it as all part of my Jiu-Jitsu now. And not to get too far off, you know, the point, but, you know, I used to have, like, this kind of internal conflict. Like, what do I call what I do? You know, especially when I didn't really have a rank. I was just kind of on my own. Just, I'd go train with, you know, catch wrestler dudes. I'd go train with no-gi. You know, I was just looking for, how do I make myself better? You know, I just, you know, at the end of the day, you want to be dangerous, you know, right?
Exactly. Right.
I mean, let's just be honest. You know, we all started this because we want to know how to fight, you know, and then, but I, you know, I had this thing where it's like, man, how do I get better? And what I found, and guys don't like to talk about it a lot because it gets into this weird territory, right? But this stuff is intimacy, man. Like, there's a lot of intimacy in rolling. Like, if you and I right now go in the next room, we're like, hey, man, let's roll. I'm trusting you. Like you said, you're getting ready for Worlds. Like, you're trusting me with your health.
Right.
You're trusting I'm not going to be a jerk.
Right.
You know, you're trusting I'm going to be cool. That's like high level intimacy, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
Like, we end up like being really close to each other. Like, you end up closer to the guys in your gym that you roll with every day than some of your own family, because there's so much trust there. Like, you know, you can roll with one of us right now and we'll be cool. Nothing's going to happen. The last thing on our mind would be to hurt you before your competition. But your drunk uncle might swing on you, dude.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So that's the thing. And so when we talk about that kind of stuff, there's so much of that involved in trying to make each other better so that it makes us better. And it's like this weird, like, feedback loop where we're constantly like, yeah, it starts out sounding selfish. Like, I need you to get really good at guard passing because my guard sucks and that'll make me better. Right. But what happens? That makes you better, which makes me better. So we're both we just keep trucking up this ladder, man. Yeah. And I don't see that in too many other things, man. Yeah. You know, I really don't. And I just, like, every day I wake up thinking, man, life's beautiful because of this kind of stuff. You know, it's like I'm surrounded by people that want to see me get better. I want to see them get better. And it's just this constant, you know, not to sound like a hippie, man, but it's this constant positive vibe that feeds into everything else, every other area of your life, right? Yeah. You know, you get to this point where you're just like, man, you know, this works in jiu-jitsu. Well, let me try this in my relationships. Right. You know, let me try this with my kids. Let me try this with my brother, you know, my family member. Like, hey, if I can help them get better or be better, whatever it is they want to do, even if I'm not into it, my life gets better.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
How does that go, though, with the lady friend? Hey, honey, you know what you could be doing better? You're like, fuck you. I'm not one of your rolling partners.
Right? You got to figure out how to frame it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's her idea. Like, you thought of this.
Right.
You know, like, you got to try to be like, hey, remember that time when you said... It's like, I don't remember saying that, but it sounds like a good idea. Like, yeah, you did say it.
Right.
I was rolling with a white belt. Actually called me out to roll today. He's like a big Russian guy. Like, he must have been anywhere from 185 to 205.
Right.
6-footer, Russian.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, but he's a white belt, so I'm like, okay, all right, I can.
Those are the roles you say no to.
Those are roles I should say no to, right?
Yeah, those are guys that hurt you.
Yeah. So I get down and I pull him on top, and this guy destroyed my life. Yeah. And he tapped me like 5 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, what in the fuck am I doing? Like, I couldn't stop him from doing pretty much anything he wanted. And he didn't roll like a white belt. I'm like, oh, that's really fucked up, man. Either I'm way off today because I can't stop. He passed my guard. He just arm barred me. Like, I'm like, what? No. Because, you know, I stay tight, but I couldn't stop him. After I got done rolling, I'm like, oh, fuck, I had to like reevaluate myself. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like,
I left my black belt at home. So what happened?
So I'm off to the side. I was getting some water, and I don't know if Sam was talking, and like a bunch of us was standing around, and we saw him rolling, and this guy he was rolling with next was thrown in the air, and like I'm like, what in the fuck is that guy doing? Yeah. Oh, he's a judo black belt.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like he's a judo. I'm like, okay. Thank you, because that's fucked up, man. I'm like, he should not be wearing that white belt. He's like false advertising a little bit.
Yeah, right.
So I was fucking with it a little bit because, you know, I see him around the mat like looking for people. I'm like, hey, man, easy with that white belt, bro.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, that doesn't seem very fair.
Right. Guys are coming in light because they're like, yeah, man, he's a white belt, man. Let's be cool.
I mean, that dude's very talented. Yeah. And I told him, I said, thanks, man. But I mean, fuck, dude, you really fucked my head up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I was really thinking, I was like, oh man, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Right. He's like one of those Georgian judo guys.
Yeah, I don't know where he's from, but but
they're pretty vicious, man.
He was
fierce.
Really good, and he like barely broke a smile. Like every time I was fucking with him, he's like, you know, just looking at me like, I'm like, all right, dude,
let's roll with them, man.
But you know what's interesting is like, you know, like when Mineko says to us, you know, if you have a wrestling judo background, you come to our gym. Usually in a matter of a few months, he's gonna promote you to blue because anyone with that type of background, you're not a normal white belt.
And mainly he says because I want you to be pushed.
Yeah.
He goes, you're not going to be pushed in a white belt division.
Right.
You know, I want you to get better, and getting the blue is going to get you better.
Yeah.
So
guys start taking it a little more serious.
That probably happened to you, Paul. I mean, taking your hiatus from the gi and not getting promoted and just doing no gi forever and then coming back as a purple belt. They're like, what the fuck? Who is this guy? You know, like he's not a purple belt.
Yeah, guys will give me grief, you know, and they're like, you know, whatever, man. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, dude. I mean, I get the no gi argument, you know, like I get it. Like I can argue it pretty good from both sides, you know. Yeah. And but I just look at it like, man, it's just all wrestling.
You know what the best answer is? It's just like, just do both.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you do both?
Right.
Yeah, just do both, man. And I mean, it's all wrestling. At the end of the day, you know, it's just going to be wrestling or grappling, whatever term, universal term you want to use. That's what it is, man. I mean, throw a coat on a dude. Yeah, it's just like, it's going to be like gi handles.
Yeah.
You know, guy's got a hoodie on. Okay, dude, you know, same stuff applies, man. You know, like if I'd reach up and grab the label on a gi, I reach up and grab the hood, pull it around, sink it, dude, knock him out, you know.
Right.
But yeah, man, as long as you're learning, that's the thing. As long as it keeps you fired up about training and about learning and about improving yourself, then do it. You know, whether it's gi, no gi. I mean, don't come wrestle naked with me, dude. But you know,
right.
but I'm good
but
with
in
everything.
wrestling, there is no like absolute divisions in wrestling, right? There's just when you wrestle, you just
it's
wrestle.
weight classes.
It's all weight class. Like
Yeah.
jujitsu, there's absolute divisions. Where
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's it. But is just not completely unfair because of the rule set of wrestling to do an absolute? The pin, right? That's
the
what
pin.
it is.
Yeah.
A guy who's 250 against a 130 is gonna.
Yeah, the pin's going to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
You know, so
There's
it's
no stopping that without the submission there.
Right, and then and because you know the time period of having your back on the mat, you know, is the finish. So it's so quick.
Right.
You know, and you know a bigger guy is going to be able to pin a smaller guy long enough for that to happen. The match's going to be over. Whereas if you gave that smaller guy the ability, like jiu-jitsu, right, give that smaller guy the ability to put a knee in, frame up, you know, post, and you know, start to shrimp, work his little magic under there, dude. You know, the magic that all small guys have, you know, where it's like you can't make them stop moving, you know, and it's just, it would change the game totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like anything, man. Just play the game by the rules that are set there for you, like Greco, right? You can't touch the legs. All right, dude, touch hands, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, let's go to work, man. I want to learn. So
sure.
Show me the magic, you know. So
you lived out in Portland.
No, I actually would fly out there, and they would fly out here, and then I would just go everywhere they were.
So your home is Chicago?
Yeah. So I live out in Elgin, so I would fly out there.
So how did you get started? To bring us back to the beginning.
All right. So what happened was, I grew up wrestling and boxing, right? Okay. So I mean, I have pictures from when I was a little kid. Like
what high school did you go?
Great uncles. I grew up on the East Coast.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Out in Maryland.
Oh,
so,
okay, gotcha.
You know, I got pictures from when I was a little kid, like my great uncles and stuff, boxing. You know, family stuff, and so I grew up around that. You know, and it was fun. I kind of got away from it for a while. I had moved down to Miami, you know, for work purposes, and living in that area, I wanted to get back into it. So I started taking American Kempo because just for giggles, you know.
Ed Parker,
right? No, yeah, right. No, Jeff Speakman. I saw Perfect Weapon. You know?
But that's Ed Parker's thing, right?
Yeah, Ed Parker, right? Yeah, American Kempo. So and cool stuff, man. You know, I was digging it. You know,
for sure.
And so I got into it. I'm trying to remember the name of his books. He wrote some books about kind of like Keys to the Universe or something, which is basically about human performance and movement principles and stuff. So it applies to everything. It's pretty cool stuff. So, you know, training with those guys, and then a friend of mine says, "Hey, man, there's this JKD place over here, you know, and they do like Bruce Lee's thing, which is way better than everything else on the planet, right?"
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Cool, man, you know, Bruce Lee, I'm going to enter the dragon, some motherfuckers." So I go and I sign up for this JKD school. And
this is in Miami?
Miami, Dwight Woods, and who was the first guy to open a JKD place outside of Inosanto Academy. Okay. It was called Unified Martial Arts Academy. It's like an Inosanto satellite school type thing. Okay. Super cool dude, man. And then Hurricane Andrew happened, and everything was gone, you know. Yeah. So kind of lost there for a little while. Came back in, trained again with Dwight once he got set up again. I really liked the Muay Thai and all that stuff. Yeah. Had a blast with that.
Did a lot of Kali stick fighting?
Yeah, a lot of stick fighting stuff. I actually did a bunch of stick fighting on my own. You know, we would just go out in the park.
Can you still?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Sweet. It's kind of fun.
You should film a little something after this.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's fun stuff, though, man. Great, yeah. And so we would do some of that. And then they had Paul Vunak come in and do a seminar. Yeah. So I was like, all right, man, this stuff's cool, man. Yeah. This is where I'm at, you know?
And Paul back then, well, this is, what year was this?
93.
Okay. So I did a Vunak seminar in 92.
Yeah.
And he would Paul Vunak would come in, and he's like early Eddie Bravo. He'd come in, and then during like the intermission, he'd go outside and get smoked. Like he gets so high, and then he'd come in and be even better.
Yeah,
Like, fucking crazy. It was so weird. Like he'd get so baked out there, come back in, and he just like, we're like, what is he? Like he's just moving like unbelievable. It's crazy.
Yeah, you just take it to another level.
Yeah, you take it a whole nother level.
Yeah.
It's really
So
crazy.
I linked up with him and we hit it off, man. And so I said, hey, you got anybody here that does this, you know? And he's like, yeah. So he introduced me to his guy, Carlos Hernandez, who was a sergeant in the police department down there. And so we started training in his backyard. And then kind of, he eventually got a full-on commercial spot and all that stuff and taught out of there. And he was, trying to remember what it was called, Killer Instinct. I don't know if you remember that.
Of course.
Series. Yeah, that was Carlos. You know, they filmed all that down there. And so got involved with those guys, got kind of like, went through the instructor program, became an instructor and all that stuff.
What were they called? Because they were called Progressive Fighting Systems.
Yeah,
That's
PFS.
What, PFS. I still have my jacket.
Yeah, nice, man, nice. I have my shirt.
Yeah, I still have the shirt.
Yeah, I have my shirt. I
with the Ching Choi in the back.
Yeah, right. Like straight blast,
Yeah.
you know, fist over fist. And I don't know where it's at. I got to find it, man, just for giggles. But so he introduced me to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I was like mind blown. Like I couldn't believe how cool this was. And you know, and that's about the time the UFC happened and life changed, you know, and I was like, man, I got to do this all the time. This is all I want to do, you know. And, you know, Vunek would stress like the flight time thing. Like you should be boxing with boxers and kickboxing with kickboxers and all that stuff. So I set out on that journey, man. And that's how I ended up at like Lord's and places like that. Because like, let me go find some boxers and box, which probably not the brightest idea when you're not a boxer already, you know, or haven't been for quite some time. But I would get in there, man, and rock and roll with these dudes and learn, you know. And there was a guy there, Tody Hernandez, I think was his name. He was one of the Cuban boxing coaches. And he had landed in Miami through the boat lift. They call it the Miami boat lift or whatever, a Cuban boat lift, where a bunch of guys came over and, you know. And that dude was vicious, man, but a wealth of knowledge. Like, I didn't speak any Spanish. He barely spoke any English, but he just would just get in there, real intense, super intense dude. Nice. And he kind of revamped how my striking, helped me a lot. You know, he taught me like the shoulder whirl and that kind of thing. Instead of stepping on punches, you just, like if you're going to throw your right hand, you pull your left shoulder back, and that causes you to rotate and extend. You know, and just different things like that nobody ever showed me.
These little intricacies of body mechanics, right?
Yeah, man. He just nailed it. Like that whole Cuban boxing system was, and they were dominating at the time, you know. And he started showing me stuff like that and just mind blown. And that was like the first place I ever got dropped by a body shot. Like unable to continue. Like I didn't know how I was going to drive home. Wow. Yeah, dude caught me with a liver shot, and I saw the light.
How long does that last?
That lasted for like a couple days. That was brutal, man. I don't know if that dude was trying to teach me a lesson because I had hit him. Okay. You know, we were moving, and
was he bigger than you or was he smaller than you?
Smaller.
Yeah, because you're a big dude.
Yeah, he was a smaller guy, and he was moving, and Tody set called 2-2, which is like double the jab. And so I doubled the jab, and I caught him with the second jab. You know, got through. And then Tody yelled something in Spanish at the other guy, you know. And I think what he was doing was he was yelling at him because the other guy was like,
how'd you let that gringo hit you?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. My friend Luis Gutierrez told me later what happened was Tody was saying basically like, hey, man, every time you're lazy with your right hand, I'm going to have him hit you in the face about me. Yeah. So because he was being lazy with his right hand, so I was letting the second jab come through, you know, and I was catching him, and I'm sitting here thinking I'm getting better, right? I'm actually like punching a pro, you know, and all of a sudden, man, he just like dipped out of sight. I lost him. Like, I don't know where he went. He juked me, and then pain, like an explosion just through my whole body. And he had just dug a hook into my liver and just dropped me. That fortunately it dropped me because the second shot went over my head. That one probably would have rocked me. That would have knocked me out cold, you know, because he doubled up.
He doubled up.
Yeah, he doubled up on the hooks, and the second one would have just crushed me. But I was already dead. I was already knocked out on my feet. I think I went vertical fetal and just you know, and hit the ground. But yeah, man, that was that whole process of like, let's go out there and train diligently in each art, you know, probably like you did, right? With PFS, man, we went out and we just, you know, like, hey, all right, well, I want to learn how to fight with sticks. So we get together with some dudes with sticks. We're going to put on these fencing masks and these hockey gloves and beat the crap out of each other and see what works, you know? And you learn pretty fast, right? With stick fighting, you hit the weapon bearing arm, make him so he's afraid to put that thing out there, and then you start beating him in the head and the lead leg, and the lead leg makes it so he can't move, and the head knocks him out. You know, and it's just simple, right? You get right to the essence of a fight, you know, with whatever it is. And same with boxing. You know, it's like I learned pretty quick that, you know, anybody can punch anybody, but most importantly, it's the punch you don't see is going to knock the crap out of you. And the best way to disguise that is to come in under a jab and leave under a jab, you know, and it's like, that's the core principles, right? Fundamentals of that art.
Right.
You know?
Catch them while they're on the offensive. Right?
Yeah, always, man. Always, you know, and just the beauty of slipping punches, you know, it's like, it's amazing. You know, it's like seeing a high level jiu-jitsu guy roll, you know, where it's just,
and he's using the basics.
Yeah, and nothing can
like
touch him.
Gracie.
Yeah, it's like like Hodger, exactly. Like nothing can touch him and nothing can stop him.
Right.
You know, when you see like a guy at that level, again, man, getting back to like human evolution, right? Just pushing our evolution, forcing it to happen. When you see a guy at that level, man, it makes you just like you want to lose sleep. You know, like you can't sleep, man. I remember I would drive home after boxing sessions or after training. I linked up with Conan Sauvé for a little bit. So one of Carlson's first black belts in the States, who's just a monster in Miami. And so I was training with him, you know, to bring up my jiu-jitsu. And, you know, you see people like that. I remember I would drive home and I'd just be obsessed with like a hip bump sweep. You know, like, man, you know, like I can't remember Conan's brother's name. I think it's like Mauricio or Marcio, but he was a smaller guy. And just toy with you. Just everybody in the room just treat you like children. You know, it was like a cat just like playing with like a mouse, and then finally like, all right, I'm gonna kill it. You know, and he would just like hit hip bump sweeps on everybody, and you could tell that's what he wanted to work on today.
Yeah.
So he's just gonna hit it on everybody. Conan too, you know, and I'm like, oh my God. And I remember driving home, like, man, like replaying it and just being obsessed, and like getting home, and you know. With my first wife, it's probably why she divorced me, right? So I get home with my first wife. I'm like, hey, come here. You know, I got to try this. Like, you know, he told me something, and I could barely understand him because, you know, Portuguese. But I think what he wants me to do is like, you know, and then I just work on it. And next thing you know, it's like 2 a.m. I'm like, man, I got to get up at 5. You know, like, but still, you're just so like, just juiced, man. Just running on that dump of that adrenaline or whatever it is. It just fires you up, and you're like, dude, I got to learn this. I got to figure this out, you know? So
it's too addicting.
So then you were doing striking and training all sorts of, like, did you ever fight MMA?
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I fought MMA. So I fought in XFO production. I did some Shudo stuff, which was big in Miami. It was easy to fight Shudo, man. And then I did some kickboxing, did some boxing. Nothing really spectacular, you know, just got in there, kind of like the PFS thing, like, you know, Vunak, you know, for better or for worse, he did force you to, at that time, you know, I don't know how he runs the organization now, but I know at that time, you know, there was a lot of emphasis on getting out there and getting into it.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's in the street or, you know, or, you know, in a sporting environment, what we would call an honorable environment, right? Where we both agree to like get it on, but we're walking out of here alive, you know, we're not going to go get our brother with a baseball bat.
But he would also go.
Yeah,
like,
there would also be that too.
There'd be
there'd be some
trial,
of that too.
Test out. Let's see if the shit works over here.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
It's crazy, dude. It was a crazy time, man.
It was nuts, dude. It was not.
Yeah,
it wasn't all healthy, you know. No. It was not exactly healthy, but yeah. So you know, there was that.
But that was the R&D that had to go into it.
You need the R&D
for this generation.
Yes, exactly. You know, for sure, for man. For sure.
I thank you guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, man. Thank you. My lack of brain cells says you're welcome. I can barely spit it out because you know, I can barely function. But yeah, man, that was kind of his drive. So I guess I owe him that, man. You know, and I'm appreciative for that. It kind of forced me into this mindset that has never gone away of what's next. Like, what can I do now? Like, what else can I find? What else can I get into? You know, and like that led me into everything else I got into, like the shooting stuff and tactics and all that stuff. Like everything kind of came from that,
Right.
that constant drive to like test myself and see, well, do I know the truth or not?
Right.
Right.
You know, it's like, I might think I know the truth, you know, but do I know it?
Right.
You know, and how am I going to find out? I got to get into it, man. You know, and so, yeah, it's
So what's it like rolling with Chris? Because, like, what do you weigh?
brutal.
What do you weigh, Paul?
Right now, I'm at 235, 240.
235?
Yeah,
What does
somewhere
Chris
around
walk
there.
around at?
155,
155.
maybe. I
Does he
hate to
beat you
even
up?
say it out loud because he beats me so bad. Yeah, I outweigh him by almost 100 pounds, and he just makes me his bitch, man.
Yeah.
It's just brutal.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
It's so
I love to hear
brutal.
that shit.
Right.
It's
so
great.
brutal.
Especially a little guy. You like to hear
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, I love
You're
it.
like,
And it's just
it's possible.
It's possible.
And he's got like sick, like he's the same way, man. You know, like that's why we hit it off, because he's kind of the same way where he's like, you know, he wants to go down and roll with like these different up and coming new dudes, and like they'll come to his garage, you know, where he teaches out of, and roll with him and train, and they'll teach like seminars there, like certain nights of the week. They'll like, you know, he'll send you like a video on the phone. It's like, oh hey, look, you know, and so teaching in his place, and it's like, holy cow, man, I just watched that guy on, you know, like a YouTube thing, or you know,
Right.
And so he's like always with these guys, but man, you know when he's getting serious is when he goes fundamentals, like straight fundamentals. Like he'll play, you know, but I can always tell when he's shifting gears, because all of a sudden it's just solid fundamentals and I can't stop him. Like the frames are unstoppable. Like I can't break the frames down. I can't get around. Like the connection's locked. Like I remember, you know, like one time we were doing jits with hits, you know, because you know, like his big thing is like you think street and you train sport and you practice the art, right? So you think about like the foundation of jiu-jitsu is to be able to fight everywhere from like a harsh word all the way up to a hand grenade, right? Like this started in the 13th century with the Japanese, like trying to figure out, well, how do I deal with the battlefield where I find myself unarmed against armed opponents?
Right.
Or how do I fight incorporating unarmed skill with short swords and whatever? You know, I need to be able to pick up anything I can find and rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And it's evolved up to where we are today, but we've never lost that martial root, right? Like we all right now, if we had to get it on, we could,
Right.
you know, because it's what we do. You know, at our heart, we're violent people trying to be better people, but at our heart, you know, like that's why we got into this, because we know the world can be a violent place, and we want to have a good answer for that shit, right? So, you know, when you train with Chris, he'll do a lot of stuff like, you know, think street, train sport, practice the art to be a better human being, but never lose sight of this, you know, that there's a street environment too, or whatever you want to call parking lot, kitchen, whatever.
Right.
But so he'll do a lot of jits with hits. Like he'll hit you, you know, like, hey dude, you know, you're not keeping good posture here, you're not protecting yourself, you're not controlling my arms, you know, things like that. And you can always tell when he's kind of shifting gears. Like, I don't know what's going on in there, but he starts to shift gears because all of a sudden he gets this connection and he starts locking into you and you can't get away. And it's like, dude, I remember I had guard on him. I like locked into like a butterfly guard thing, and all of a sudden he just like did this thing where he popped my knees out, and so my knees are like outside, which wouldn't be too bad, right? Because I'm still in there. I'm like set up for reversals and sweeps and everything.
Sure.
And all of a sudden he's just like heavy and connected, and I can't get my legs back. And I'm trying to like get my legs out of there, and I realize he's just like hooking in, boom, 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 boom. He's just like tucking my legs, and the next thing I know, he's just like over me, like some critter out of Aliens or something, like over me, and I'm mounted. And then knee ride. And then the way he does the knee ride is he gets that full shin to body connection, so that it's just complete control of your upper body. So wherever you go, you're stuck to his shin, and he can just, and it after that, man, it just goes downhill fast. Like it's like you want to tap because you know what's coming, you know, but you don't because you want to see how it's going to happen.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like you want a stuntman though, like, right? Like you want to be able to go, oh, cut, you know, bring this stuntman in. All right, let me watch what's going to happen. You know,
For
like,
real.
I want to see it from the outside in, you know, so I can learn. But Yeah, man, that's kind of, you know, it's like when those guys shift gears, you know, like Megatron Diaz, cats like that are, you know, they just have such a mastery of it, you know, and that connection, they know like how to just stick to you and you can't get them off. And it's just, I want to do that, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I want to
too.
be that guy, you
I
know,
agree.
it's just someday, man, someday.
So when did you get your black belt from him? How did
2015.
How'd that go down?
So Chris is kind of known for the Iron Man thing, where they just keep throwing people at you, and you just keep rolling, and you roll and roll and roll, and it could go on for quite some time. Some of the straight plus gym Ironmans have gone for like hour and a half. You know, there's been some crazy.
Really? Wow.
It's cool, man, because it's like an initiation process.
So at
you
that
know?
point, do you know you're getting promoted? Like
yeah,
during the middle of it, you're like, I think I'm going to be promoted.
yeah,
right?
no, you know, man, when they
Yeah.
call you out, you know what's coming down.
Oh, okay,
You know,
gotcha.
like, yeah, you kind of know what's going to happen with Chris.
So is it based on that performance of that day? Like
No,
it's not.
That's just the fine. You're going to make it at that point.
Okay.
Like they know,
Right.
you know. So I got my brown belt in 2010 from Cecil, you know, and he and Chris had kind of been in contact and that kind of thing. And then I saw Chris in like around 2013, 14, somewhere in there. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'll come out to your place, man, and, you know, we'll train, and I want to give you your black belt, man. I want to finish the journey for you, man, and you can start over, you know, basically, because you become a black belt, it's like you start over, you know, and like you're a student again, because now all of a sudden, it's not like,
Which fits so well with Chris's belt color currently. It is a black belt,
Right.
but it's a white belt.
It is a
Yeah.
white, yeah, it's for sure.
yeah, right.
It's impressive.
It's crazy, man, and it's intimidating in a lot of ways, man, because when you think about, like, when he gave me, you know, I knew I was going to get my black belt from him, and we're rolling, and he's just lumping me up, man, just crushing me. You know, it's embarrassing. You know, I was like halfway about to puke, and couldn't do anything. He just was shutting me down, and I'm like, this is like.
So you've never tapped him?
No, man, never, man. I got close one time when he was hurt. You know,
He comes limping in. All right, you're mine right now. I'm gonna get close at least.
yeah, never, man, never.
That's
Yeah, not that I know of, man. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't really keep track, but
Yeah.
not that I know of. You know,
But that one, you'd be like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure I would remember. I would
Right.
I wouldn't want to talk about it because
Right.
you know, payback's a bitch.
so I heard this podcast and I heard you talking some shit.
Hey, I'm coming to your house. What? So we're gonna roll in your backyard now. It wouldn't even be that. I'd just be like, ding dong. Hey, Chris, what are you doing here? But yeah, man, he just you know, it's one of those things, and I talked to him a lot about it, you know, and he went through it, you know, where you're like, okay, so I'm a black belt, but black belts are like Hickson, right, and Megaton and Chris, you know, and Carlson, and like this legacy of just tough dudes that were just awesome. And now I'm a black belt. And how do I fit into that?
Right.
You know, like, I don't even deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as like Mario Spiri and people like that. You know, like Marcelo Garcia is a black belt, and so are you. Like, no, not really. Nah, man, nah. You got to understand, like, this isn't like a Taekwondo black belt.
Right.
Like, you know, like, no, it's a different thing. And, you know, I had that discussion with Chris, you know, and I was like, man, just because I got hurt, I had an aneurysm, you know, my brain blew up, tried to kill me, you know, and I
When was
couldn't
this?
roll. 2014.
Wow.
So I couldn't roll for a year.
How did it come about?
I have no idea.
Like, no, I mean, like, how did that whole, like, how'd you fight? Did you just collapse one day or?
I had a
headaches?
headache. Yeah, I had headaches for about 3 or 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And real bad headaches. And I was having visual issues. Like, I couldn't see with my left eye a lot. And it was blurry. It felt like something was constantly, like, in my eye, like poking me in the eye. And couldn't figure it out. I go to the doctor, and they're like, oh, you got migraines. I'm like, but I've never had migraines in my life. This is new. And so I'm at the gym we had a seminar with Benjamin Salas, who's a really good black belt.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
Yeah, awesome dude, man. Super cool guy. We had a seminar with him, and he had, I trained a little bit, but I was having a hard time, like just rolling around. You know how like after seminar, everybody kind of hangs out and rolls around a little bit, and has some fun. And I'm trying to roll, and man, my heart's racing, like I can't control my breathing. And I'm rolling with another black belt, and he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "Settle, just relax, dude. Your game's tight, man. Just relax. You're good, dude. You're good." And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. Like I couldn't process, like I couldn't think, and I kept apologizing. I'm like, "I'm sorry, dude. I can't give you a better game, man. I don't know what's going on with me right now." He's like, "Nah, dude, chill. You're good, man. You're definitely, you're black belt level, bro. Just chill, And I'm like feeling bad because like when you train with people, you want to like feel like they're not like, well, hopefully this is over soon. I can go roll with that guy so I can get a good workout in, a couple rounds in,
Exactly.
And I felt like I was being that guy, because I just couldn't. I would get gassed, and so this went on. So I went home and I told my wife about it, and I'm like, "Man, this headache's killing me." Right? No pun intended, right? Yeah. I'm like, "This headache's killing me, man. Like I can't breathe. My heart's like pounding." I don't know. And then I had to go to work, so I worked night shift at the time. So I went to work, and then in the morning I came back. It was Sunday. I opened up the gym, and we have open mat and wrestling. So little wrestlers in there, doing their thing. And so we get done with that, and my friend Artie Gruba and a couple of the dudes, they're like, "Hey, man, you look like you're about to die. Like you look like death." And I go, "Yeah, I feel like it, man. My head's killing me." At that point, I couldn't even sit up because it was just like this pressure in my head. I'd have to lay down for a minute, like just lay flat on the mat, just chill. It would go away, and then I could sit up slowly and then get up and walk around, but it would get worse and worse. And so I figured, man, it's just a blood pressure thing with the migraine, I'm like, all right, man, well, I'm gonna close up the gym, and then I'm gonna go home, and just take a nap, right? Drink some water, take a nap. And that's what I kept telling people. I'm like, I'm just dehydrated from not sleeping and stuff for the last couple of days. So I go to lock up the gym, and I drop my keys, and I was like, wow, that's weird. Like my hand quit working. I go to bend down and pick them up. I get them, and I go to stand up, and then I fell. I'm like, whoa, that's weird. So I get up, lock the door, start walking to my car, and face plant. Like, boom,
Yeah, couldn't you have face planted on the mats inside?
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
Why did it have to happen on the concrete?
Busted up, man. So I'm like, man, this isn't cool. So I get to my car, and it just hits me. It's like somebody just hits me in the head with a board, like just bam, this instant pain all over my whole body. Like,
worse
how, like,
than the liver shot?
Yeah, way worse.
Okay.
You know how, right? Close though. That's probably what started. I should find that guy. I can choke him out now. But you know how like you hit your funny bone and it just that just
like a bell, like
and it's just like it's annoying, right? But that was my whole body. Like my whole body felt like that. And I'm like, this is weird. Like I can't get comfortable. Like I just can't get away from this pain. It's all over. So I'm driving home. I call my wife. I'm like, you
drove home after face planting.
Yeah.
Oh,
it gets better, dude. Like I'm holding myself up. Like I'm propping my arm against the door to hold my head up because my body's like doing this. Like I'm like curling forward like a crunch. And so I call my wife. I'm like, hey, which you probably shouldn't do while you're driving and having an aneurysm. Right. But I call my wife. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go to the ER and see if they can give me something for this migraine because it's kicking my ass. It's bad, Yeah. So I start driving to the emergency room, and I'm like hitting the curb, tearing my car up. I can't hardly drive. And the funny thing is nobody called. Right. Like nobody called and was like, hey, there's some drunk dude driving down the street. Yeah, I'm like, I'm opening the door and puking and stuff because my body's just like freaking out. I'm in pain.
Dude, you're too tough for your own good.
Right, man. Right.
Yeah. I'm going to go drive to the hospital. What the fuck?
That's just dumb, man, So I get to the hospital. I face planted again in the parking lot trying to walk into the ER. And fortunately, some lady found me, and was like, hey, just chill here. I'm going to go get some help. Just stay here. And I remember like, all right, cool. I'm just going to lay here and sleep till you come back. Cause I felt like, I don't know how long I'd been there when she like got there,
Right.
you know, I'm like, I'll just lay here and sleep till you come back. And then I was like, screw that, man. I mean, I made it this far. I'm going to get up and walk in. So I got up and walked in, and then I got in there. They hit me with Dilaudid, started doing all the tests. And next thing I know, man, I did like a bunch of CAT scans and MRIs with the dye that they put in your brain to see.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, the good news is that it's low on the left side, but we don't know why it's shutting off the right side of your body. Like there's some weird stuff happening here. It's on the occipital nerve. That's why you can't see. Because like as I'm driving, there's like a fog coming in. Okay. You know, like I can't see. I'm like, this is weird, man. Like it's a clear sunny day. Why is there fog,
right.
you know, in the middle of the afternoon?
Right.
And I couldn't see. And so like, you know, there might be some permanent vision damage to your vision, you know, that kind of thing. But the good news is that it seems to be fixing itself, like righting itself. Like we're going to pump you full of medication. We should be able to treat it just with medication without cutting your head open and coiling and doing all that other stuff. Because they had all that stuff there. Like they were ready to rock.
Yeah, man.
And then they're like, it looks like we kind of made it through this part of it. But so they put me up in the CCU and ICU. And which is good. I mean, if you're going to be in the hospital, that's where you want to be, right? Because they take care of you. You got your own nurse. You got your own room to yourself. Right. You got a nurse just to babysit you, you know. So you're not really conscious of it because you're out, but, you know. But so I get up there. They tell me, you know, you have, what do they call it, intracranial swelling. So basically my brain was swelling. So that's where all the pain was continuing to come from. Right. So basically I had a migraine 24/7 for about 3 months after I got home, and they kept threatening to cut like a chunk of my brain or a chunk of my head, my skull, to kind of let some pressure off and other stuff they were talking about doing. And so, you know, what do you do when something like that happens, right? You call your friends that are in the medical field. You're like, hey, dude, you know, they're telling me this is what they're going to do. What should I do? You know? Right. And all my friends that were doctors were like, dude, you're just lucky to be alive. You do whatever they tell you to do. Right. You know, and
what hospital was this?
St. Joe's. So out in Elgin. Okay. So I got home. I spent 3 months just on the couch, you know.
So they just treated, they didn't know surgery or anything like
No,
that?
thank God I avoided all that. So I was able to kind of dodge the bullet on that stuff. Ended up spending about 3 months. Took about 6 months to not fully recover, but to recover enough to walk back on the mat and start playing around again and start rolling. And that was a challenge because, you know, like you remember we were talking about Larry, you know, and so that was November 9th. In February of that year, I went to a tactical conference with Larry where he was teaching. And of course, you know, what do? We go back to the hotel, and we got some friends there. They're also in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So we're like, hey, we need a boardroom so we can have a meeting.
Nice.
Right? And they're like, oh, yeah, have this one, you know? So we go in there, and, you know, we're rolling around. And it was like Larry described it like
Larry Lindemann.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, man. Awesome dude, you know? Yeah. So I'm just so used to, like, everybody I talk to, they know exactly who Larry is, you know? And, but... So Larry says, you know, it's like you know what to do, but there's like a delay. Okay. You know, like this weird delay between like the movement, like the thought and the movement. Like it wasn't, there was like always this weird like stutter in everything I did, like trying to roll and stuff. Yeah. Man, that was frustrating, you know. But you know, in like the file of, you know, jiu-jitsu is about life, right? Like I just treated it like an escape, like, or like getting out from cross sides or, you know, a knee ride or whatever from some big, strong dude that's way better than you. Like, what do? A little bit at a time, man. Yeah. You know, you can't tap to the pressure because nobody does that. That's not cool. It's not fair to him, right? You know, because he's working his game and you're like, no, I can't take it, you know? Right. But so it's like just a little bit at a time, man. Every day, you know, just like that. Like, you know, all right, move your hips a little bit. Try to get your knee in, you know, try to get your frame in, try to get your arms in, you know, get something in between. You get up on your shoulder a little bit. Right. Every day, man. All right, I'm going to walk up the stairs. You know, I'm going to get on the treadmill, walk for 20 minutes, which turned out to be 3, you know, but okay, man, tomorrow I'm going to do 3:30, you know, and then the next day I'll do 4. And so that's just what you do, you know. And fortunately, man, I had like awesome people around me, you know, like Larry and Cecil Birch and the SBG guys and my judo coach. And I had all these cats around me that were like, come on, dude, you got this.
Right.
You know, I mean, it didn't kill you. If you're breathing, that means you got opportunity to fight back,
Exactly.
right? You know, so let's just keep going, you know. And fortunately, too, I had guys that were cool that I could roll with who were like, it's all right, dude. You know, like, what do you want to work on? You know,
Right.
or even just like, hey, you want to come watch everybody roll? Because like, there's times where I'm like, man, I can't roll, and I'm jacked up,
Yeah.
you know, and like,
And you were still on medication at the time,
yeah,
too, right?
yeah, dude, those painkillers are brutal, man.
Bad.
And so I was taking all this stuff and whatever, you know. So you guys would be like, hey, man, I'll come pick you up. You know, I'll take you to the gym. You can watch people roll and, you know, see this thing you love and, you know, we all love, right? And just keep you energized, keep you like focused on, you know, without even me being conscious of it. And maybe even they weren't conscious of it, but it really just kept me focused on like, I'll be back there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get back, man. I'll get back on the mat. And
Exactly.
maybe I'll never roll above blue belt level again, but whatever, man. It's better than sitting on a couch, right? I mean, blue belt's still badass, you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, man, let me get back in there and just get back to my life, get back to what I love and get, you know, if this is the new normal, then I'll adjust. It'll be cool, you know, whatever, man. And so, but, you know, I attribute that, man, to this stuff,
Yeah.
right? That's what this is
good to
about.
stay positive for sure. I mean,
Yeah, and that's what
it's
this is
great.
about, right? What do we learn, man, when we're on the mat? Like, we learn not to quit.
Yeah. Learn to be humble.
Yeah,
That's for fucking sure.
right, yeah. You learn to, like, lean on your friends,
Yeah.
right? Literally, like we were talking earlier, like that intimacy, right? Like, I know, like, if, you know, me and Paul tap hands and like, hey, man, a little fist bump and let's roll a little bit. And, hey, dude, oh, by the way, you know, if you can help me out with my guard, man, my guard's, you know, like sucking, man. My daily Hiva is just getting crushed. Well, he probably would be like, all right, dude, we'll start with daily Hiva. Let's go.
Right.
You know, and then if he passes me, he'd be like, all right, man, well, let's go back to it. You know, let's do this over and over again until you get where you get what you want out of this. All right. Next round, though, it's my turn.
Right.
You know, now let's work on my thing. You know, and that's what we learn, right, on the mat, man. The mat teaches us so many lessons. And so it was like that. Like, man, I had people that were just like, hey, man, what do you need to work on? You know,
Yeah,
but in the
that's cool.
bigger sense of it, right?
Right,
like
right.
life, what do you need to work on? You know,
Right.
and I'm like, right now I need to work on not wanting to die, you know, because I'm looking at like, my life's never going to be the same, man. This
Right.
doctor's telling me I can never roll again. You know, this neurosurgeon is like, yeah, man, you can't get hit in the head again. You
Really?
know,
That's what they told you, huh?
yeah, at that time, you know, but you know, as I,
Do you think it had anything to do with boxing and kickboxing back in the day?
no, man, I don't think so.
That's
They,
good.
yeah, because they told me, I asked them that, man, because I was concerned because, you know, I have kids and I train kids,
Yeah.
you know, and we all have friends and stuff to do this, right? So I'm like, and I'm always trying to like pimp jujitsu, right? So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, man, don't do that striking stuff. Just come over here and roll, right?
Yeah.
And, but no, I really think, and I talked to them about it and they're like, nah, man, this is like getting hit by lightning. Like, we can't predict it.
Yeah.
You have no indicators. Like, I don't drink really. I mean, I've been drunk maybe like 20 times my entire life, you know, and I never smoked in my life. All the things that people say would lead to that, like, I've never done,
Right.
you know, and man, I'm not a straight edger, but, you know, I've never,
You don't abuse yourself.
yeah, man, I've never done any of that. I've always been in shape, you know.
So do you feel like you've made a full recovery?
Yeah, I think I'm close.
So you're like your jiu-jitsu before you had the aneurysm, what percentage wise would you say you're back at? Would you say you're 75% back? 80.
I was way more athletic.
Yeah.
Like, my game was based more on like rolling, flowing, you know, spinny, you know, and to
Yeah.
me that was just fun, man. Like, I love to scramble.
So you didn't lose the knowledge, right?
No.
I mean, you just kind of
No, it's still
physically,
there.
it's very hard.
Physically,
Well, I mean-
physically, I probably couldn't play that scramble game
Right.
at this point, you know. I mean, I probably could for a short time, you know, but I don't think I could pull it off like I
But at
used
least
to.
you could teach. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
it's better than
That's
losing the
thing.
knowledge, right?
Yeah, right. You know, and what we have to pass, like, you're a brown belt, right?
No.
Purple?
I'm a blue belt.
Blue?
And purple.
You're purple. Yeah, so like the knowledge that we have to pass on to other people, right? Because I tell people this in self-defense seminars all the time, right? Like, you are the expert in their world. Like like you go to a family get together, who else does jiu-jitsu?
Nobody.
Well, my family got one.
Oh yeah. Tommy G.
Right.
Uncle Tommy.
Right.
One of my uncles or cousins happens to be a Carlson black belt.
Nice.
Didn't know.
Right.
My whole life.
Found that out last year.
Yeah, just found
last
out.
year.
Oh, that's funny.
That's
funny.
Tommy, yeah.
Yeah. But when you think about it, like you're the expert.
Yeah. Right.
You know, you go hang out with your friends, you're the expert. You're the only dude in the room, right? You're the 1%. And so we have an opportunity daily to pass on, to represent this brand, so to speak, right, of jiu-jitsu, this lifestyle in such a positive way, and pass on knowledge. Like, I would never want to give that up. Never. You know, like, man, if I couldn't roll ever again, but I could still in some way influence people, talk, teach, whatever, man, I would do it.
Right.
You know, just to like, because I remember when I couldn't roll during that time period, and my friends are like, hey, man, you know, let's go, come over here, you know, come watch this open mat. And at first you're like, man, come on, dude. Like, that's like telling me here's dinner, but you can't eat.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And, but after a while, you're just kind of like, man, just being here with all these cool people that are on the same wavelength, that are just doing this thing I love, whether I can do it or not, I don't care, dude.
Yeah.
I just want to be here. You know, I want to be part of it. You know what? You need somebody to mop your mat, dude. I'm in. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get to roll, but I get to help everybody else roll.
Right.
You know? And, I mean, it sounds weird, but it's therapeutic.
Oh,
you know, it really helped me stay positive, which was the battle. The mind's always the battle, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, my neurosurgeon, neurologist, all those guys are like, man, a key part of you not dying was, one, you got here when you got here, and two, you were very strong, you know, and mentally tough. Like, mentally, you never quit. Like, they called me the marathon man on the floor. Because, you know, because I'd take both of my freaking IVs and I'd walk. Because they're like, the sooner you can get up and get mobile, you'll be able to leave. You'll be able to go home.
Right.
I'm like, I can't stay here, man. People are dying up here, dude. People are leaving, like, not to be cruel, right? But people are leaving up here altered. Like, they're coming in like 40-year-old lady, you know, aneurysm. Now she can't talk, you know, or stroke or whatever. They lose like function and stuff. And I'm like, man, this is beating me down, man. I got to get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they're like, well, if you can get up and start moving around, start caring for yourself, you're no longer a fall hazard, you could probably go home. You know, you can convince the neurologist to let you go. I'm like, dude, unhook my freaking IVs, right?
Yeah.
Give me the heart monitor that you put in your pocket, and let me I'll start walking.
Right.
And I did, man. Like, the first day, I make it to like the nurse's station, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have to take a knee in a minute. You know, like, I don't know if I can do this. And that's only like 20, 30 feet.
Yeah.
But with all the blood thinners and everything, because you're so lightheaded and the pills and stuff, the medications they're injecting you with to get you through it, man, I was just like, you know what, dude, it's just like jiu-jitsu, man. It really is, right? Like, you walk into a jiu-jitsu gym as a white belt, and, you know, according to what gym you go to, right? But most places have some sort of self-defense program in the beginning, like a foundations program where you kind of break you into like the language and the customs and all that, right? And you kind of getting in there, man, and you're like a fish out of water. You're like, none of this is normal. But if you keep going, it becomes normal. Now this is your normal, right? And so for me, I was just like, you know what, man, this is my new normal, dude. This is like white belt jiu-jitsu, man. This is like first day on the mat. Like, I got to learn the language. I got to learn the customs. And I just got to do what's expected of me. And I'll get better. Trust the process, just like jiu-jitsu. And that's what I did. They told me to walk. I'm going to start walking, right? And a couple of days later, like 3-4 times a day, I'm walking the entire floor. And they started calling me like the marathon man. They're like, hey, there goes the marathon man, you know, because I'm like pushing my stupid IVs, you know, whatever, man, you know. And you just, man, it's, you know, I mean, I try not to beat a dead horse, man, and sound like, you know, a Scientologist or something, but man, jiu-jitsu save your life,
for
dude.
sure. Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have that like outline to fall back on, like just that comparison of like, okay, I'm a white belt at walking again, you know, and just I got to get here. I mean, I just started a new job a couple months ago, and I kind of thought the same thing. Like, you know, I'm just like, jiu-jitsu has taught me, like, there's just a ton of resistance in the beginning, and there's a ton of learning to do, and you're going to feel overwhelmed, and you're not going to know shit, and you just got to just keep going, stay positive, battle through, know that you're going to be a blue belt one day, you know, and that's it. And
yeah, just trust the process, and you'll get there, man.
Process, exactly.
Yeah, you will get there, right? It's like, just like that, like stuck on the bottom, man, bad position, like trust the process, dude. Build your frames, man. You know, and worst case scenario, you tap out. Right. And you say to the dude, what should I have done? Right? And then he tells you. And then you're like, all right, duly noted. You know what I mean? Right. Can we go again? Right? You got to get back at it. You can't quit, man. No. You know?
So do you feel like you've hit a ceiling at that 80% number that you gave me?
I don't think so,
You're
man.
still improving daily, right? So like
for sure.
3 months ago, you were at 75%?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I feel like every time, man, I get a little bit better.
Great.
You know, and especially, man, because I love, like right now, my gym's new and young, and we've only been open 4 weeks.
Yeah, let's talk about your gym,
everybody's kind of like white belts, you know, even guys, and I've got guys that have trained other places that kind of follow me and come over and stuff, and putting them through the foundations program it's one of those beautiful things where you teach like a headlock escape, right? And you're like, man, I could teach this in my sleep, you know? But then you think like, well, what's the right way to do this, man? Is to do this all out. Like, this is the best, most important headlock escape I'm ever going to teach. But if we think about it, maybe it is, because maybe that cat walks out tonight and she ends up in a situation where some dude's holding her down by her head. Does she deserve full, intense instruction, like attention to detail, getting it right, like everything that I would want to know as a black belt?
Yeah.
Right? Like, hold nothing back. Right. Teach me how to do this right, man. Like, it's the most important thing you've ever taught. And so I come in and I teach like that, man, and I'm just like in love with the fundamentals again. Yeah. You know, like all the cool stuff, that's awesome, man. The leg riding stuff, you know, the way guys are blending all that stuff from wrestling, and it's like this cool integration, you know. I love it. But now seeing like people with white belts on, with gis that are like nice and sparkly, you know, and there's like no wear, and they got like the little, you know, they're starting to get like little mat rubs on them and stuff, and their toes are torn up from the mats and everything. And seeing them lock each other down with a headlock or a mount, and seeing them just like, you know, like I tell them like shake the hand, you right, so you know which hand to grab, because they're so new. They're like, where do my hands go? I'm like, see his hand, shake it. You know what I mean? Just like that way you remember. See, you know, right hand grabs right hand, you know, hook onto his elbow, you know, get your head out of the way, look to your 12, you know, you got to get out of your own way, right? To be good at anything in life, you got to get out of your own way. To be good at this escape, you got to get out of your own way, make a hole, let him fall into it, right? And they're rolling over, and they're like, oh my God, that's easy. And then you see them, like, they're like asking each other, did you let me do that? And then they're like, no, I didn't. You know, and they're like, it's like awesome, man. You know, like you're introducing people to this life-changing art, you know? And so it's like, you know, so like in a roundabout way to answer the question, like, yeah, I feel like I'm improving, and I feel like I will eventually be back there, and I have no doubt in my mind, you know? But at the same time, if I never got there again, you know, to have this ability to pass on to these guys that knowledge. Right. Yeah. Like to hear those guys have those conversations like they think I can't hear, right? Right. But to hear, you know, hear them have those little conversations where they're like, that's so cool. Like the other day I teach like a simple sweep, you know, just simple, right? You know, foot on hip, lock down the ankle, let your arm extend, so make that frame, you know, so they can't come in and they can't come out. And then just push, pull, man, and let them fall, you know, and then ride them up. And then today, you know, so we've been working on that, and then hear them have those little conversations like, you sure you didn't just give that to me? Are you sure? Did you really just, were you trying to stand up? And yeah, man, I was trying. That's why it hurt when I fell, you know? And it's like, you know, to then have these people know, like you were saying, like, okay, man, this is the new normal. Trust the process, check all the boxes, right? Do the technique right, and then go for it. And if I fail, reset, make adjustments, get myself out of the way, trust the technique, go for it again. All right. Fail, no problem, man. Readjust again. Like those little adjustments, like everything else we do, man. And to have these people get these lessons that I know, like right now might not be significant, but to have them know what I know, right? Like someday, if they're in a situation where they're like, man, if I just keep adjusting, keep moving forward, keep adjusting, keep trusting the process, I'll be all right. I'll be okay. Like, man, that's priceless, dude. Exactly. How do you put a price tag on that, man? Right. Yeah. You know, and it's like, that's what we have the ability to pass on. Like you guys, when you guys get your black belts and you start teaching, or purple belts and you start like apprentice teaching and that kind of thing, that's the best feeling in the world, dude. Yeah. It really is. You know, to have like people look at you and like, it's an enormous responsibility because they're trusting you with their safety, right? They're trusting you with everything in their life, right? Their world, you know, and you're responsible for everybody on that mat to come on the mat healthy and leave healthy as possible, right? But at the same time, man, that opportunity to like pass on that knowledge, to be like, hey, man, you know, have people come up to you and you're going to have it, right? You guys are going to be in black belts. You'll be instructors if you're not teaching already at some level. You're going to have people come back to you and be like, hey, man, I quit drinking because of training with you. Wow. Yeah. Right? You're going to have people say that to you, man. I'm telling you right now, I've had people say it to me like, hey, man, I quit fucking off as a dad because of this stuff right here, man. The lessons I learned in the gym, you know, like if you haven't seen it already, you will, man. Yeah. You're like, you'll have these cats come to you and they're like, hey, dude, like, you know, I was in a bad spot and jiu-jitsu, like, saved my life.
Yeah, there's
and they're
like
not even playing.
Hashtags and T-shirts. Jiu-jitsu saved my life.
And it's no joke, dude. It's no joke, man. Like, guys, it's legit, man. And that's the thing. Like, the ability to pass it on to others. I can't wait for the day where I can look at like black belts. Not again, man. It's like that danger zone, right? Where one side of you is like, let's see, Carlson Gracie, Hoyce, Hoyler, Hickson, Half, Henzo, Megaton, Chris, right? Me. Right? Like I'm a black belt. But I'm nowhere near those cats. I don't even deserve to be named as a black belt when you list black belts, right? Like I shouldn't be ever associated with them. But at the same time, you know, there's like this side of me that like can't wait for the day where I can make other black belts. Yeah. You know, where I can like have a dude go from a white belt or a girl go from white belt to black belt with me. With you, right? Yeah. You know, like, man, to be part of that journey, to know. And it's not because I want to have the ability to say, look at me, dude, I'm making black belts. It's because I want to know that I was able to pass on to other people what's been passed on to me. Exactly. Right? Yeah. Like, man, all those lessons that our coaches invested in us and our training partners invested in us, and now I get the ability to pass that on to somebody else and see their life become better. Like, man, you know,
truly better.
Yeah, like, legit better, right? Like, you have a conversation with a female who's like, hey, man, you know, this dude was kicking my ass on a regular basis, domestic violence victim, and one day I just had enough. And I fought back, and it changed everything. Mm-hmm. Like, he left. You know, it's like, whoa, dude. You know, like, how do you like quantify that? Like, how do you say? There's nothing else you can say. Like, you just stand there speechless because you realize that this person's life is infinitely better because of jiu-jitsu, not because of me, but because of the things that others invested in me that have allowed me to pass that on to other people, right? Yeah. Like, if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. But fortunately, it was me. Right. You know, like, I got to be part of this, man. And how cool is that? Like, you just sit there and you're like sometimes you want to cry, right? Like, not like manly tears, of course. You know, like manly, like a fist shaking at the, you know, tears that like burn holes in the ground. Right. But you're like, you get a little emotional because you start thinking about it, like, dude, you know, like, man, this person's life is better because other people took time to bring me into this path and not let me quit. Right. You know, like,
so is that the whole basis of opening up the gym? And
yeah, absolutely,
sure.
man.
Did you
like,
see this guy doing anything else but being an instructor? I mean, he loves
Zumba? No Zumba for you?
No Zumba, man. No. My booty shakes a little too, you know. But yeah, that's the thing.
So how long has this been in play? Like, you've been because this is 4 weeks now you've been open?
Yeah, 4 weeks.
SBG Illinois?
SBG Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, so SBGIllinois.com is the website.
Now, is this your first gym that you've owned?
No, this is actually kind of a long kind of journey, winding journey of getting over to this place where I'm finally going to run my own thing, do my own thing. Nice. So I had SBG. I was part of SBG in like the late 90s. And I was the third or fourth dude, according to who I'm arguing with, right? Outside of Portland to be, you know, kind of blessed or whatever to say, hey, man, you can teach. You know, you're one of us. Yeah, you're one of us. You can teach. You know, you're a coach. And so I had it for a while. And then, you know, with some other things that were going on, I kind of went off on my own, did my own thing for a little bit. I was teaching, you know, had with my brother, we were running a gym and out of Elgin. And so we were teaching stuff there. Good gym, good people, good stuff, same stuff, just different name, right? And then due to some work stuff, I was working undercover, so I couldn't really be out and about, you know, you know, so I kind of dropped off the scene. I kept training, but I wasn't training others, you know, or trying to be as prolific, whatever the term might be for that. So dropped off the scene, no competition, nothing. Came out of that. When I came out of that, I wanted to coach again, you know, or at least help somebody coach, do this kind of stuff, get involved. And then I started coaching out of another gym, and who ended up being my judo coach. So this guy, awesome, amazing dude, Tom O'Shaughnessy, and he's like an 8th Dan, Kodokan ranked judo guy, and fantastic human being. Kind of like him and Chris are like spirit animals. Like they were just like, you know, when they met each other, it was funny, man. Like, the only difference between those two is Tom has an Irish accent, so everything else is the same. F-bombs nonstop, you know, and hardcore training, you know, and this is life. Like, no matter what else is happening in your world, you need to be on the mat, you know, because that'll make things better. And so I was teaching out of his gym, and then unfortunately, Tom lost his fight. He had cancer, and it got him good. You know, it was by the time it was discovered, you know, it had spread pretty bad. So at the same time, my dad died from pancreatic cancer in October last year, you know. So about the same time these two things happened. And so that gave me like a pause, you know, like some time to be like, man, well, what do I want to do? You know? And so I talked to Matt Thornton and Travis Davison, Adam Singer, and Chris Conley, a bunch of, you know, the core guys in the Straight Blast gym that I had come up with, you know, and coaches. And I just talked to those guys, and they're like, man, you got to open a gym, dude. You know, do your thing. Open your own thing. Do your own thing. And I talked to Liam, who's a coach at kind of 6 degrees of separation, right? Like Liam O'Shaughnessy is the judo coach, and he fought MMA out of Adam Singer's gym in Athens, Georgia. So the Straight Blast gym in Athens, which is where Brian Bowles comes out of, and Forrest Griffin and Rory Singer and all those guys. So I talked to Liam. I go, hey, man, what would your dad think? You know, he goes, no, my dad knew. Like, you need to do your own thing. Like, eventually you're going to have to go do your own thing. So that's what I did, man. That was the final push, you know. So I'm like, man, let's do this. You know, I'm going to open my own gym. And
you're located where?
It's a good story.
Yeah, in Elgin, 1341 Manor Court in Elgin, Illinois.
Nice.
So
how many square feet you have?
We are at 4,400.
Wow.
So yeah,
it's a good size.
Yeah, it's a nice size. It's open for growth, man. We got a lot of room to grow. The people that manage the property are really cool with me. We're kind of in a standalone building, and there's a space next door to us that's storage for a restaurant nearby. And they've been really cool. They're like, yeah, man, when you're ready to expand, you can take that space. You know, so we're looking at putting like strength and conditioning stuff in there, and you know, because meatheads, you know, I got lots of meathead friends. So.
But the best part of the whole thing clearly is you're Conor McGregor's teammate now. You know, like this is that's number one. Everything else,
that's number one. Yeah, I love Kavanaugh, man. Kavanaugh is like my dude.
Talk to me about John, because you see, like McGregor gets like a lot of shit online, like, oh, his jiu-jitsu sucks or whatever. I mean, it's probably not as good as Nate Diaz, for Christ's sake, but he's still a brown belt under Kavanaugh, right?
Nate's good, man. I mean, what are you going to say bad about? Like, again, right? Like, I'm a black belt, but then let me roll with Marcelo and see what happens, right? Like, you know, like there's different varying degrees, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, you know John, and you know the team, and
yeah,
I mean,
he's
if you're a brown belt under
then
Kavanaugh,
you're legit,
you're
man.
fucking good,
yeah, you're
right?
legit, right? Yeah, yeah, you're legit, man. There's no playing around there, dude.
Right.
So I don't know. People are gonna say what they're gonna say.
Because when
and-
did Kavanaugh get his black belt?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a good question.
Because you said he was doing kind of like funky stuff.
Yeah,
like
he was doing,
rubber guard shit back in 2003.
Yeah,
or
but
whatever.
he never stopped wearing he never stopped with the gi work.
Right.
You know, like he never did like I did, where it was like, man, I just want to do no gi.
He's under Matt Thornton.
Yeah,
Black
he's
belt.
with Matt. Yeah, they just opened a bunch. He's got, you know, SBG Ireland,
Right.
and then they just opened a bunch of like little satellite gyms, not little, but satellite gyms over there too that are SBGs, and so they're doing good.
You ever see
They're
SBG
banging.
Ireland, Zito?
I have.
Like on YouTube? It's fucking dope. It's huge. And then Kavanaugh has like his office like upstairs where he's like looking out at the whole gym like it's a goddamn like factory owner. You know what I mean? Like just creating just a factory of savages.
Yeah,
It's
pretty much,
cool.
man. It's
Yeah.
just an assembly line of just beasts just rolling off, you know.
Where'd the name come about? Straight Blast Gym.
Straight Blast Gym from
Is it from Jake
from
and Dave?
PFS?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Thornton was
great. It's
Thornton
fucking
was a
awesome
PFS dude too for a little bit. And,
Now, are you really SBG if you don't have the gorilla tattooed on your chest?
Oh
I mean,
yeah, that's
I
true,
think
man. That's true. Like I got like the.
Are you,
I got
are you committed enough here?
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean,
like, are you hardcore?
Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. I guess I'm slacking. I got to work on that, you know.
but McGregor set the bar.
Yeah, he set the bar too high.
Yeah,
like,
man.
damn you, Connor.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. No, John's super cool, and one of the coolest people you ever meet, you know, on the planet.
Yeah,
Literally.
Paul,
Like-
Paul wanted to meet him, but he pussied out.
I saw him at Master Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walk up and say, hey.
I'm not going to be that guy.
You wanted to.
I kind of wanted.
You
I like
did.
out of all the guys there, I kind of want to be like, "What's up?
Yeah.
I like what you're doing."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then just leave it at that.
I've
But,
never saw
like,
Paul act like that, but he's like, "Oh, John." I'm like, "Where?" I didn't see him. Paul's like, "He's right
it
up
was
there." I'm
weird
like,
because it was the.
Was he up with Was he
So-
up with
so-
Thornton and those guys?
I'm not sure. I think he was probably there just spectating on some SBG teammates or whatever.
Yeah,
but
Travis
this
was competing.
This
and
was
those
in
guys were-
Vegas.
Amanda and everybody
The
was
same
competing.
weekend. This was the day before McGregor Mayweather fight.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I just thought I was more surprised he was there than
Walk up and
anything.
say, "Hey, dude."
I know, but I was like, Jesus Christ, like the biggest fight in history, like, and you're like just hanging out at jiu-jitsu tournament like the day before. I thought it was
Yeah,
kind of.
why
I
not,
thought
you
it was
know?
interesting. It definitely like
Well, he
showed
came out to support
who he
yeah.
is. You know
Yeah,
what
he
I
came
mean?
out to
hey,
like
I'm a
support the
regular guy.
SBG guys and
Yeah.
chill and see some good jujitsu and why not, man?
Yeah,
You know?
He's definitely not like above it. You know what I mean? Like
Not at all, dude.
literally the biggest fight in the world. I'm still here chilling, watching
Yeah,
some jiu-jitsu.
I mean, it was Master Worlds though. It's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
it's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
It's not worlds or anything.
Yeah,
not- it's not
there's,
world, but
there's
it's
no
massive.
$400 million purse, but
Right,
it's,
right,
it's,
exactly.
it's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Right.
But yeah, man, dude, I wish you would have walked up and said, "Hey, dude,"
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's
We'll bring
super
him out
cool.
for a seminar and I'll meet
That's
him
the
then.
plan. That
Or
was the
have,
plan.
or have him in studio.
Dude,
Yeah.
There
that
you
would
go.
be awesome.
That's right.
We got to work on this.
Yeah, we should
got to
do that.
work on
Let's
this.
do that.
You
He's
just bring him and Connor.
yeah, that'd be
And then-
easy.
And then I like to see Paul do his impression of Connor in front of Connor and see what Connor thinks.
Okay, maybe he'll give me some pointers.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably be pretty cool about it. You know, he's an SPG guy at heart, so
Yeah,
he'll be
that's
cool
right.
about it. You know,
That's cool. So you're bringing out Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh will definitely be there. He doesn't know it yet, but he will be there. Yeah, man.
And what about Chris Haueter? You going to bring him out
Definitely.
eventually?
Yeah,
that'd be-
definitely.
Those are two seminars I would definitely go to.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
Hauter's awesome, man. He's just. Have you guys seen his art? Like his artwork?
I don't know if I ever.
I don't know if I have.
but I need some more
dude,
artwork.
like here you go.
Shit.
So like, this is his artwork on the back of my hoodie, man.
Is it?
So yeah, like that guy in the
that
center.
symbol?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
really?
dope. Wow.
Yeah, man, that's his stuff, dude. He's an amazing artist. Like,
And he sells this.
yeah, he's had like galleries, like showings and all that stuff in LA. Like one of his showings, so his gallery event involved like dudes doing jujitsu while these like rich cats are walking around sipping wine, looking at pictures that he drew and
No shit.
photos he took and
That's
stuff.
really
And,
cool.
Man, it's amazing, man. You know, he's,
See, I got
and
a
he's working-
spot right over here looking for.
nice.
I need a piece right there.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Some of his stuff, man, is just mind blowing.
Yeah.
Man, you know, like, and he's one of those people that he's a total artist.
Uh-huh.
You know, so when he approaches his jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu is just another extension of his art.
right.
You know, it's just another way to express himself. So he's experimental. He never rolls safe, you know, which was a good influence for me, you know, because you get that ego there where you're like, man, I can't tap. You know, I'm purple belt, you know, I'm brown belt, whatever. I can't tap, you know. So I'm going to roll safe, you know, and just
not put yourself in danger.
Not put myself out there, and then the round's over, and cool, good round. You know,
and
I didn't tap. You know? But what did I learn to do? Stuff I already knew how to do.
That's what I yell to Zito about all the time.
He does yell at me at that.
Yeah.
You get yelled at,
But
man?
I'm my journey for me is I'm working still because I'm still a blue belt, so I'm still working a lot on. I work a lot on defense. I'm not gonna lie. It's because I'm little, so I'm always working on defense. I mean, I'm growing. You know, I'm starting to attack more and I do attack, but I'm just saying
because that's good defense too.
Yeah, to keep
Attacking.
constant attack, right? Yeah,
keeping them on the defense.
But I feel once I you know, we'll see how I do at Worlds next week. But you know, we'll see how the journey goes. You know,
What do you mean you're going to see how you do at Worlds? What are you talking about?
I mean, I know I'm going to win.
You're going to
I'm
kick
gonna win
ass,
it.
dude. You're going to go out there and just, you know, rock and roll, man.
This podcast is going to air after the fact, but
It's going to air December 26th, I believe. So Merry
wow.
Christmas.
This is
to
that's
everybody.
my daughter's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you
Christmas
go.
baby, right?
Give her
I can tell her, hey, this is your birthday
There you go.
and Christmas. Merry Merry birthday.
I don't think that's gonna.
That's
fly.
like the worst thing for a Christmas baby, man. Like every Christmas,
Yeah.
you get the one relative's like, yeah, hey, I got you your birthday present and Christmas.
Yeah,
and
we'll combine it.
yeah, you get ripped off,
Yeah.
you know, and like, whoa, fuck you. But yeah, man, like,
So our buddy Larry Lindemann, your friend as well, you train like Shiv works with him and the knife things. Where does that all happen at?
that happens all over the world, man.
Yeah.
All over the place. So we travel for that stuff. Actually, Sunday, if I can pimp one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Sunday we're doing a women's self-defense
Although
thing.
it's going to air.
This is going to air
on the 26th.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
maybe end of the
Cool.
month.
So I'm not like shamelessly promoting something.
Yeah,
So I don't want to be. I don't want to be that.
But tell us
schmuck.
what's going on.
Yeah, I don't want to be a schmuck. But,
No.
So we're going to do a women's self-defense thing Sunday, this Sunday, the 10th, right? So from 11 to 1. And so for women to do that, we just want them to bring like $5 and 2 canned goods, like
that's
food
cool.
items, right?
Yeah.
And then everything goes to the Elgin Community Crisis Center, which does fantastic work in our area, in our community, you know, and for victims of domestic violence, both the adult and children, you know, and they offer services to both sides of that, because sometimes, you know, it's not that the offender is like a lifetime piece of shit, you know. Sometimes, man, you just have a bad run, and you need to get through it and get the help you need so you can learn to not be an offender, right? Not be violent, hurt people that love you. And so, you know, they offer all these services. So like any community service, they're always in need, you know. So everything that comes in is going straight to them. You know, we'll have information from them to hand out at the self-defense seminar as well.
And you do this, is it going to be a monthly thing, quarterly thing? Or you,
Probably going to do it every couple months.
That's cool.
You know, for the women in our community. And then after that, from 2 to 4, we have like a ShivWorks training group. You know, so we bring guys in, and what we do is we just incorporate like the jiu-jitsu aspects of everything into like a weapon-based environment or a self-defense oriented environment. Cool. So it's kind of like a sneaky way to introduce jiu-jitsu to guys who don't normally do jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Because you have like, man, it sounds bad to say I have a following. ShivWorks has a following. Right. That's not 100% jiu-jitsu guys. Like they're gun guys, knife guys, you know, that side of the house, right? And so introducing those guys to jiu-jitsu sometimes is a challenge, because those cats are like, hey, man, I carry a gun, so I don't have to roll around on the ground. I'm like, that's cool, dude, till you're on the ground, right?
Exactly.
Or until a gun's not the answer, and then you go to prison, right? So getting those guys to kind of branch out a little bit and what we call a multidisciplinary approach to things, where it's like, let's blend all these different aspects. So that's what I'm trying to do with the ShivWorks training group. So we're meeting like once or twice a month on Sundays at my gym, and bring these guys in, talk about those concepts, the ShivWorks concepts, you know, of dealing with a guy that has a knife, like how do I shut him down? And it's jiu-jitsu, you know, and like, how do I deal with a guy that's got a gun on me? Jiu-jitsu, you know? And,
that's really
you know,
cool.
But then there's the unarmed stuff, or the verbal aspects. Like Craig Douglas is kind of the godfather of the ShivWorks thing. and he coined. He's like a word guy, you know. So he came up with this acronym.
Teaches you how to smack talk.
Yeah,
in the street,
pretty much. Yeah. He came up with this thing he calls MUCK, which is managing unknown contacts, and it's totally about verbal skills, like de-escalation. You know, how to just deter this guy. You know, de-escalate him, deter it. You know, so maybe it never goes physical.
Let me ask you something about like on that topic. Now, if someone's starting shit in the street and they're like, "Yeah, fuck you, pussy," or whatever, and I mean, I think when a bully hears the words like, "Hey, man, I don't want any problems," all of a sudden they're like, okay, now I definitely want to fight this guy.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to say that.
You don't want to say that,
you don't
right?
want to say that.
What do you want to say?
Man, no. So a lot of times what we'll start off with is learning to just tell people, hey, man, stop right there for me. You know, like I'm not being insulting. I'm not calling you names. I'm not trying to act like something I'm not.
But you're confident and stern.
I'm telling you to stop right there, man.
Okay.
You know, and that's what I need you to do.
Yeah.
You know, don't come any closer. You know, I don't know you. We have no business talking to each other. And I think you're a douchebag, so stay away from me. You know, because my inner, you know, that intuition, right? That marriage of experience and knowledge, which, you know, for lack of a better term, we call it intuition. And people try to make it like it's a spooky thing, but I don't think it is, man. I think it's just the fact that we have enough life experience and enough training to put those two together, usually at like a subconscious pace that's faster than we can consciously process. But our body is going, hey, dude, something's not right. Right?
Something's off, right?
It's that evolutionary
sense.
Yeah, it's that evolutionary thing that's been handed down where what do people always say? What do victims always say, dude? I knew something was going to happen.
Right.
I knew something was wrong, you know? And what they do, they override it, they go forward, and then it goes wrong.
Right.
And so a lot of this stuff is just learning to go, hey, man, I need you to stop right there. Don't come any closer to me, dude. You can talk to me from right there.
Yeah.
You know? And then that sets the tone, right? Essentially, you just built a non-physical fence in between you. Dude crawls over that fence. What's that mean? Trespasser.
It's on.
Yeah, he's not willing to abide by the normal societal rules of engagement, which are, if I ask you to stop, you should stop.
Right.
You know, like Anthony says, hey, dude, don't do that. Okay, cool, man. I'm sorry. You know, don't put your feet up on my table. Sorry, dude. I apologize.
Right.
Take my feet down, right? If I leave my feet up there, what am I saying?
Fuck you.
I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to abide by the normal rules of society. And so then I don't deserve the treatment of normal rules of society either, right? Like I deserve to be picked up and thrown through that window or whatever. You know, like get out of my house, you know? And so that's the kind of thing we try to stress to people. Like, look, man, tell people to stop. Don't ask. Don't plead. Don't like try to just make it real simple, real concise, and very direct.
Right.
And if they don't listen, that's your first sign.
Right.
You know, things are about to get a little sporty.
Right. So describe to me like the essence of the gym you're trying to create, SBG Illinois in Elgin, because you have, I mean, a lot of striking and JKD and Shiv works and jiu-jitsu. And so there's a lot that you could bring to the table. Is it just a jiu-jitsu gym? Is it an MMA gym? Is it a self-defense gym? How would you try and
that's a good question, man. So I kind of look at it as all the above, right? So like we were talking about, the origins of jiu-jitsu were a warlike culture, you know, and an empty hand answer to that. You know, like what do I do in a weapon-bearing environment? Everybody's got weapons on them. What am I going to do? You know? So I look at it like I want a place where we can give people an answer to everything from a harsh word to a hand grenade. You know, literally. Like I want to provide a place where we can teach people how to handle themselves in all those events. So how do you handle yourself like that? Like somebody's encroaching on you as you're trying to load groceries in your car. Some dude comes up, hey, let me help you with that. No, thank you. Let me help you with that. I said no, thank you. Right? Well, I'm going to help you anyway. That's a bad sign, you know? So what do you do from there? So I want to help people understand that, like, in that environment, it's okay to be rude. Like, you don't owe them politeness. You don't owe them manners. This is obviously someone who doesn't respect no. If doesn't respect no here, what do you think is going to happen later? Right? So that kind of thing. So I want to create an environment where we can train people safely in a healthy environment for all those things rather than a fear-based environment, right? Like you train in an environment for self-defense typically, and this sounds kind of bad because it's like a stereotype, but typically they'll paint like this monster, this boogeyman, right? Like this mythical street fighter that's unstoppable, and yeah, you got to train for this cat, and you know, man, well, first off, probably you should be more worried about the guy that's going to loot your pension, you know, because that guy's more dangerous, and you know, and then the next person you should probably worry about is that family member that just doesn't respect boundaries.
Yeah,
you know, like not some dude on the street that you might never encounter, you know, but the guy that you run into all the time, like at the office, that's just an asshole. Like, how do you handle him? You know, and so different things like that, like, you know, so let's take a realistic approach, let's take a relevant approach, and let's take a healthy approach, man. And then overall, though, I want to make an environment where people can come in and, like we were talking about earlier, man, just benefit from all the lessons like we've already benefited from. Like, I want to make an environment where they'll stick around, you know, because that's the problem. You know, a lot of people start, not a lot of people finish, you know, so the kind of like the that knot, what is it, the guardian knot, you know, the knot Alexander cut it in half. They're like, hey, if you can untie this knot, you can rule us. Now Alexander's like, all right, dude, cuts it with a sword.
Right.
Yeah. So that kind of thing, like this impossible knot of how do you keep people in long enough, not keep people in so they can pay the bills, not keep people in so you can buy a nice car. How to keep people in so that they can benefit from this. Like, because I know they need it. That's why they came here, man.
Right.
Like, that's why they signed up at your gym.
In the first place.
In the first place. They need something. They need to be better. Like, they have fears. They have all these things. Like, you guys say, you joined to learn how to fight, right? Like, you wanted to know how to fight. How many fights did you get in before the gym?
Oh, God. A couple of dozen, probably.
A couple dozen, right?
Yeah.
Like, but it wasn't like a daily occurrence.
No.
Right. Like, how many have you gotten in since joining the gym?
One.
Yeah. None.
What changed?
That's a good question. I don't know. I fight too much now. I don't want to fight. The last thing I want to do is ever fight. I train too much to fight.
Maybe you're better people.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, I still like, I think that's what it is. I'm definitely a better person. I think I still encounter the same amount of assholes. I just react to it differently.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
You're way more confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have, you know what you can do. Right? That dude, I mean, if he puts his hands on you, yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But you've become better people, whether you're conscious of it or not. The problem is you're on the inside, so you can't see you.
Right.
Right? Like,
And it happens so slowly and so gradually that, you know, like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I want to make. I want to make that, but I want to make it in a way that keeps people there long enough that they benefit that way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it to be like, typically, like, I don't know what the hard and fast numbers are. I'm sure somebody somewhere has crunched the numbers, like how many people start as white belt, how many end up as a blue belt, you know, and then how many of those blue belts make it to purple, you know.
Right.
Like Chris says, like, you know, it's like, and it's been passed around a lot, but I've seen it with other martial arts too. So I don't know. Like, black belts are like less than 1% of the people who start.
Oh, really?
That's what they say. I don't know how true that is, right?
Probably. Right?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Seems like it, yeah.
Because I look at guys that I started with, and they're not in it anymore,
Yeah.
you know? And so that's a shame, man. Right? Like, I don't want to, like, no part of me would ever want to water down the art. No way, dude.
Right.
Like, because that's how it happens. Like, that's how the change happens, is part of this tempering process of getting cooked, you know, and boiling out the impurities. And that's how you become a better person. So that can't change.
Right.
But how do I make it so that a greater number of those people stick around? So that they get to that blue belt level? Because I think that's where it really starts to kick in, man. Mm-hmm. Like, white belt, you know, about midway through blue belt is where I started to realize this is bigger than me. Mm-hmm. Like, this is something cool, man. Like, I'm not worried anymore about, like, some dude mad dogging me in a bar. Like, I don't feel like the need to respond. Like, I don't feel the need to make sure he knows I saw him looking at me.
Exactly.
Like, I don't feel the need to walk over and let him know, like, hey, dude, I could throw down too. Like, somewhere in there, like, this subtle shift happened and I became a better person, a better father. Think about this. And we do this exercise. It's a thought exercise, and maybe you've heard of it before, right? But how much money could I give you right now for your blue belt?
None.
Right. Because if I take your blue belt, what do I take? I want everything that comes with it, man. Friendships, experiences, knowledge, emotional temperament, your mental. I want all of it. Everything that comes with that blue belt.
17 gees.
Right,
You get 17 gees with that blue belt. It's a pretty good bargain. Paul,
$300 a gi, man. Come on, dude.
But yeah, no, there's no amount of money I could ever.
Now imagine once you get to brown or black belt, how much will you take for it? Nothing, dude. You can't give me anything for it because I don't know who I'd be without it. Like, I have no idea. I know what kind of father I am with it. Like, I know, and I think I'm a good father. Right, and I think I'm a pretty decent husband. My wife might disagree, but you know what? I think I am. So that's all that matters. Right. And I think I'm a good friend to my friends, and they're good friends to me. And we all have this in common. So that's what I want to create. I want to create a place like that where we can give this experience to people and keep them in it long enough for them to get to that place where they're like, they look at their blue belt with a stripe on it, or even their white belt with like 3 stripes on it. And they're like, man, you can't offer me money for this, dude. Nothing. You can't take this from me because everything that I've got now, I can never get anywhere else. Like, you can't get it at church. And I mean, not to offend religious people, but I know a lot of religious people that need some help, man. They need some time on the mat, dude. There's
a lot of people that I run into on a daily basis, just going to clients, stuff like that, where it's like, man, you have no idea the struggle. Like, they don't even know. Right. Like, they're so blinded by society and what's going on in their life. And the struggle, I'm like, that guy needs the struggle.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know. He's just,
man, you need some time on the mat.
You need time, man. You need to be humbled. And you need to just put some work in. And it's
there's not a whole lot of human beings have just become, especially like here in America, where running water and like,
dude, our homeless people
so
are fat,
comfortable. Yeah, right.
Like our poor people have food.
Like struggling now is like, oh, I got to go to work. Oh, you got to go into your air-conditioned office and sit on your fucking swivel chair for 8 hours?
Right.
Oh,
yeah. Play solitaire.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to make more in a day than some people in other countries make in months, maybe a year, man.
Yeah.
I remember talking about that with Jeff Munson. And, we were talking about, like, what makes it okay for my kids to have insurance and other kids not, right? Like, what makes it okay for, my kids to go to bed in a clean, bug-free bed and I don't have to worry about their safety and other kids not? Like, what makes that? Like, it's luck of the draw, right? Like, and I'm not saying at all like people can't say they're proud to be whatever, British, Canadian, American, whatever, but that's luck of the draw, dude.
It is.
You landed in the right place at the right time. If you landed in another country, abject poverty, your world would be so different, man. Right. And all these stupid things that you complain about right now, I remember, man, we were working and doing some stuff, and it was cold, man. It's like one of those February days where you're just like bone chilled, you're not going to warm up for a couple of days.
That was my whole career, pretty much.
Right. And I remember, and we're talking, and we're sitting in the car talking afterwards. And one of the guys that was out there goes, you know what, though, man? My brother in Iraq right now would give anything to be here right now. Right?
Yeah.
Like perspective.
Right.
And that's the thing, man. It's just, we think about this stuff all wrong sometimes, like we get so caught up in what we're doing. I know I do. I get so caught up in what I'm doing. And then I realize, man, you know what? Like, I just need to find a way to let somebody else feel what I feel on a regular basis, and I'm just convinced, man. Like, I mean, again, man, not to sound like a televangelist or anything.
I had a conversation with a client the other day, and I've known her for a long time, and we were just talking about, and this is gonna air after Christmas, but we were talking about Christmas, and she's like, oh, what are you doing for the holidays? I'm like, I'm just not into Christmas. It's not my thing, you know.
Trying to find a Christmas open mat somewhere.
Right, yeah. That's what I'd probably be doing, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, I just giving gifts and stuff like that. You know, I'd rather spend my money on, giving to less fortunate. You know,
Yeah.
my nephews and nieces, I love them all to death.
Yeah.
But they're all fucking
They're
spoiled.
fine.
Yeah.
They're fine.
They get if
what
they're
they
like
want
my kids or my nephews, and they get Christmas year round.
year round.
Anytime they want
PS4
something, anytime.
So I'm looking at. I'm like, I would really just love to just give it to homeless, give it to shelters, give it to whatever nonprofit organization. It just would make me feel better. But not only that, but it's just like you should be teaching the kids to do the same.
Yeah.
Like my sisters are great.
Well, here's
I love
what you
them,
could
but
do, Zito.
It's like, come on, just let your kids pick out a charity and just let them give the gifts to less fortunate. Why not? What's the big deal?
Yeah.
So you can actually donate to a cause and get like a certificate in return in
And give
that
that as a
person's
gift,
names
right?
and
Yeah.
give that as a gift.
Sure.
I did that to my brother one year.
That's fantastic.
Just to fuck with him. Yeah. He wasn't, it was an interesting situation because he couldn't be pissed at me,
Right.
but he wanted to be
Right.
pissed at me because it's like, you didn't get me anything, you prick, But that's what you can do. But
yeah.
and that would also teach them to give.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's. I just think everyone gets it every year. Christmas comes around every fucking year, forever. It's always gonna be around.
Right.
Right. It's just, can we just do 1 year differently?
Yeah, for sure.
1 year.
Just
I'm
one
totally
time,
with
man.
you.
Just try it one time.
Try
Totally
it.
with you.
Yeah.
But this girl I was talking to, she was just like not understanding where I was, like, she's just like, no, it's Christmas is why I got to decorate. My husband get out there on the roof and make the lights. I'll get pissed at him. We got to get the kids this and that. I'm like, whoa, what you stressing about?
Right.
Like, you're stressing about buying gifts for this one day that,
Right.
like,
Same thing with weddings, man. Like I see these weddings going down, and it's supposed to be just like one special day or whatever, but it's like you got the rehearsal dinner, you got the bachelor party, the bachelorette party, you got the fucking go shopping for the dress party with the thing. There's like, and then there's the wedding itself, and then there's the reception, and then there's the honeymoon. It's like there's like 8 whole things to this, like, okay, you're getting married.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you see the bride running around like a chicken with her head cut off, like she's having the worst possible time of her life.
It's not a celebration.
Right. Yeah, it's not.
stress.
It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. This is so crazy.
I
And
think
you
all
just
these-
dropped $60,000.
right. All the holidays, I mean, I just think it invites a lot of ridiculous stress.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the point?
And
Like,
it's
what are
all-
you getting stressed out? You can't buy. So what if you as a parent or something, you can't buy your kid something, and society puts that stress on you. Well, you got to get your kids something. You didn't get your kid anything. What, you got to go buy them, and then the toy stores are selling out of all this whatever the hell the new thing is this year that people want, and they're running to the door at midnight to get it. It's so craziness.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. I just think that we as a society be better off without it. Let's just ditch Christmas.
Right? Ditch it.
Ditch it.
I'm done. I'm
That's
done
it.
with it. I'm
Let's
done
look
with
for
it.
that open mat
Well,
and go
Zito.
roll.
Right.
Well,
Why
how
do you
about
need to wait for one day to show me you dig me?
Exactly.
Like one day of the year.
one day, that's it.
Like it's like that old relationship thing, right? Like the only time of the year you show up with gifts or whatever is on your anniversary. Like
Or Valentine's Day.
yeah,
right. Sweetest day.
Yeah, you need a hallmark. You need a hallmark,
Right.
a fake holiday to say, "Hey, man, you're cool. I'm glad you're in my life." Like, come on, dude.
That's the thing. Like, why, as a society, do we need bind by those rules? Why isn't from like grammar school or kindergarten? Why can't we just be good people all the fucking time?
Right.
Why do we need that one day? What is that one day? Is it because we can't all get it together?
We
every
can't get
day?
it together. We've agreed we could pull it together just barely for one 24-hour period.
Right, yeah, barely.
This is going to be the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why there's so many domestics on that day, right? Because people are like,
that right?
Yeah, they can't stand each other the rest of the year, and then they get together and drink, and they're cooped up in a room, cold weather. They're all in the same house, and then it starts.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, Christmas,
Easter.
It's like, man, maybe there's something to the whole thing about you could choose your family. Like, what? We're related by blood, but my real family is over here.
Right.
You know, and that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Nothing like celebrating the birth of Christ with a good old fist fight. You know what I mean?
Jesus said, "I hate you."
Right.
Jesus
You
hates you
fought
too,
for us,
man.
Jesus. We're fighting for you.
Right?
You know.
Jesus hates you too, dude. You know, like, but yeah, man.
Well, Zito, how about some gift cards to like 6 months free at the nearest jiu-jitsu gym for your nieces and nephews?
Yeah, right.
Right.
That'd be great.
I'm
Something to
actually
think
working
about.
on that now, dude.
Are you?
I'm on a mission, man. So I had a kid come into the gym. He's 13. You know, that whole thing, you know, kind of a bad situation. I can kind of tell, you know, and he's talking to me and he's like, "Yeah, man, I like to box," you know, and he's telling me this story. And, you know, my sister's boyfriend who lives with us taught me how to box by hitting this heavy bag in the garage. But then now there's a car. It's just this long, drawn out story, right? And I'm like reading between the lines, like this kid probably doesn't have a good life at home.
Right.
And he tells me his address. I'm like, yeah, he definitely doesn't have a good life at home. And I'm like, man. And then, you know, so, you know, the girl at the desk takes him through the, you know, hey, you know, have your mom come in, talk to us. Here's our number. We can talk prices and availability and plans, you know, payment plans and all that good stuff. You know, the business side of this whole thing that keeps the lights on and lets us do what we do, right? Like whether we like it or not, that's reality.
It's
you
necessary,
know, like
yeah.
I got to pay the rent, dude. And now I got to pay my people, you know. So
You know what would be like an interesting idea? Sorry to cut you off, but like
Yeah.
a big brother jujitsu.
that's what I'm looking for.
Are you really?
I'm looking
I was
for
just thinking
something. See,
that
Beat
like
the Streets.
sponsoring like a kid, like
Beat the Streets
Why the
has a
fuck not?
thing, right? Right. Beat the Streets is for wrestling.
Oh, is
you
it?
know?
Okay.
Yeah, and they provide kids with wrestling shoes and singlets and programs and, you know, all that good stuff. I'm like, man, I've got to come up with something like that for jiu-jitsu.
I think that you should.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my mission now, dude. So I'm going to figure that out. Like, it's like, you know, I probably shouldn't be starting too many things at once. I'm trying to get the gym up and running.
But I think if you
know,
start within your own gym, you know,
Yeah.
hey,
I'm like, we
anybody
gotta
here
have
want to
scholarships.
sponsor a kid to do jujitsu? You know,
Right.
he's gonna come to the gym. This is gonna be the rate.
Yeah.
you guys,
and
you guys
it's
mind?
going to
And-
be a commitment, right?
Right.
Like this kid can't, like, I don't want this kid thinking like money grows on trees and this is easy for anybody, right?
Right.
Like, look, dude, somebody is paying your way, man.
Right.
So
an
in
opportunity.
return, you can't quit,
right,
period.
right,
Like, you cannot quit. You have to commit to me for a year,
right.
period. Like, that's how it goes, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be here when you're supposed to be here. You got to be diligent. I want you to learn everything that you need to learn, right? Because here's the other thing, right? Like, how many guys in our society are raised without a dad in the home, right? Think about it. So they get surrogate dads. They get the gang. They get some knucklehead at the bar.
Right.
They get the military, which is sometimes good, right? They get something to fill that hole and get these guys to go down some path. Now, it might not be the best path, but it's a path, and it's how we're wired, you know? So, like, I don't want to be everybody's dad, right? But jiu-jitsu, again, man, not to sound like a televangelist, right? But if I can get you in here, you get on the mat, you start knocking away those layers and get to the real you, because jiu-jitsu does that. It polishes that stone, dude. It'll smooth you out, man. It'll take your rough edges off. You come in here, you know, you might be smoking weed and, you know, doing all this other stupid stuff, and nothing against smoking weed, but, you know, the point is just that when you're 14, 15, 16, you need to be making good decisions.
Right.
Right? And you're making bad decisions, and your choices are, I can go to jiu-jitsu, or I can make this choice here and go to prison. Right? Like, how many kids you talk to these kids and like, hey man, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what are you going to do, you know, like 25, 26? They don't even see that happening.
Right.
Right? Like, that's not a possibility in their world. Or they'll say things like, well, after I do my stretch. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're in trouble now?
Right.
You know, like, you got a stretch coming? Like, what are you talking about, kid? Like, no, but everybody in my family's going to prison.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what's expected.
Yeah, like I'm going to do my stretch because it's going to happen.
Right.
And then when I get out, I'll have to figure something out.
That's the norm.
Yeah, right, right. Like,
Instead of I'm going to get my purple belt next year because that's what I've been exposed to. That's what I know is coming down the line.
So let me put you into this program, man, where we
great
knock
idea,
those
man.
rough edges off.
I like
we
that.
keep
I like
you on
that
this
idea a lot.
path,
It's really good.
and we don't let you out.
Let us know how
that's
that
the other
goes,
thing,
if
man.
there's anything
yeah,
we can
dude,
do
for
there.
sure.
But I don't, why just stick it to yours, Jim? I mean, you should promote that to other gyms too. Why not?
Yeah, man.
I mean, the
I
community's
think
huge,
it should
man.
be a thing. Yeah,
It should be its own thing.
and there's
you
so
know?
many guys in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I'm surprised it's not a thing now. Like Big Brother for Jiu-Jitsu really can't be. Really not a thing now.
I don't know.
It should be.
It should be.
Yeah, I was
We'll
just, and
do some
I seen that
research.
kid walk out, man. It just
Yeah.
like broke my heart because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, you know, and like the cynical people will be like, oh yeah, because you're not getting that enrollment, right? But no, man, no, dude, I'll get that enrollment somewhere else,
Right.
you know, right? Or if I have to, I'll go sweep floors, you know, to keep the lights on. But the thing is, like, I'm watching a kid walk out that's going back to a house. Like, why is he at my gym right now anyway?
Right.
Like, where's mom?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Why? It's 6 o'clock, dude. Right? 6 o'clock on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
Like, why are you at my gym? And why did you walk here? Right? Like, you're not even wearing winter gear.
Yeah.
And I know where you live, so that's about 6 blocks out, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna walk 6 blocks, you know? So I'm like, this ain't cool, man. Like, that kid should be able to come in here and go, I'm in.
Right.
You know, here's my voucher. Here's whatever. Or I should have a phone call from somebody going, hey, man, I paid for this kid. He'll be here.
Right.
You know, like, even if I have to pay for an Uber to get him there, right? Like, whatever it takes. Like, you have a commitment, dude. Right. You were expected to be here. I'm going to teach you how to be a man or how to be a woman in our society, like the Jiu-Jitsu society, right? Which is, I think, better than
all
normal
the other
society,
societies.
right?
Yes.
Like, better actually than a lot of societies. Like, man, look, you're going to be cared for here. You're going to be accepted. We are a tribe, right? There's elders. There's people that play all the roles of a tribe, right? And you're going to be part of us. You know, this isn't a team where you try out and you either make it or you don't. Right. This is a tribe, man. You're born in here and you stay. Like, we don't let you leave, right? You know, so that's the kind of thing, man, I want to get happening out there. That's cool. You know,
that's
so
awesome.
That's really
it just oh man, it drove me nuts seeing that kid walk by. I told my wife, I'm like, I got to do something, man. That's not cool, you know. And
yeah,
I'm like,
you know, I'd be interested in looking into something like that with you.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Maybe we could do something like
that. Yeah, definitely, man.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Zito is the website guy. You could build a hell of a website.
Yeah.
Just talking to other gyms too. You know, obviously you know a lot of guys. We know a lot of guys. So you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that would do it. Like Chris out in
for sure.
LA.
I mean, there's not like it might be asking a lot for one person to sponsor a kid because that's $120 a month or whatever. But if you could get somebody who would be interested in say, hey, you know what? I could afford $10 a month.
Exactly.
You get
crowdfunded.
You get 10 guys that could afford $10 a month. Right. There's one kid that could go to class.
Dude.
So
yeah, that's the thing in the gi. Like you know, Chris has a guy that trains with him out in LA who takes donated gis. And he runs like a jiu-jitsu program, after school program in LA for kids out there to try to introduce them to, what Adam Singer calls you're wrestling for your life, right? So, because wrestling is for your life, right? Like you learn how to save yourself through what we do through this wrestling, man. Like you learn to, not to go like off into space here, but like there's like a passage in the Bible from like a past life when I was into all that stuff, right? You wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? So you're not wrestling just against another dude or another female or whomever you're like partnered up with, who you happen to end up in front of for this round, right? You're wrestling against all your inner demons as well as societal demons and everything else that tell you this is who you are and this is a box you stay in, right? Like you wrestling all that stuff every day, whether you know it or not. Like we were talking about, like with the Christmas thing, right? Societal programming, right? Cultural programming. Like, hey, it's Christmas, I got to do this. Well, who says? Right? What if I say no, man? Like this year, we're gonna go serve at the soup kitchen. That's your Christmas present, dude. I'm teaching you about the other side of life, right? Right. So it's like when we're in here doing this thing, like we're learning so many things about so many other things than just how to slap a Kimura on a dude that's scrambling away from you, right? And so if we can like somehow or another find a way like to pass this on to people who ordinarily wouldn't get it because they don't make enough to have that extra 120 to 150, 160, whatever it might be a month to get into a good gym with a good program. Like you know, they're like that conversation with Munson, right? Like, what makes it okay that person can't be here? You know, I don't know, man. Like, I think we can do better. You know, I think we can figure it out. Like, there's the realistic side, right? Like the capitalism side of it that says you got to pay the light bill. Right. You got to keep the heat on. The mats need to be repaired when they need to be repaired. The staff needs to be paid. Right. You got to keep all that stuff going, right? And you also got to be able to eat and put food on your table. Like, I'm down, man. Like, make your money, bro. You know, that's cool. But at the same time, there's got to be a way that we can make it for people who ordinarily wouldn't be in here, who most need it, right? Like, they most need to understand these lessons because they're learning lessons, right? Like, you get some kid that's getting the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah, they're learning life sucks. This is unfair. I'm never going to amount to anything.
And if he's the biggest, he can dish out that pain. Right. Right? Like, he's learning. Like, okay, well, if I'm not the biggest, there's an equalizer. I'll find some way to get to be the biggest in the room, right? Because that 9 or that 45 or whatever, or that knife makes me bigger, right? So, you know, we get these kids into this program. Man, they get into jiu-jitsu. They learn about this other side of life where there's actually people that care about them, right? Like, yeah, it's painful, right? Jiu-jitsu, man. You love jiu-jitsu. Sometimes it don't love you back, right? Exactly. Like, but they learn. Like, that intimacy, like we were talking about, like, you can trust people, man. You can get in here, get on this mat, dude, roll around. Nobody's going to hurt you, man. Nobody's going to touch you inappropriately. Nobody's going to take advantage of you. Nobody's going to intentionally hurt you for the purpose simply of hurting you. Right. If you do have a little pain, a little discomfort or whatever, it's to make you better, man, to teach you how to get out of there. You know, there's got to be a way. I'm working on it. I'll have it figured out. You know, between enough of us, we'll get it figured out, you know, and like Chris is on it. Like, Chris has got that guy in LA. Man, we'll figure it out, man. The gi part, I can figure out, you know.
Oh, there's always, I mean, I just gave away 4 of my gis.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I got a whole, my wife brought in, like, man, I had a conversation with my wife between guns and gis. My wife's like, "Do you need do you need another one?" I'm like, "Yeah." You know, she's like, "You only have 2 hands. Why you need like 20 guns?" I'm like, "Because they made them." You know. But same with gis, right? She's like, "You can only wear one at a time." You know. I'm like, she's like, "So you train 4 days, 5 days a week, and need 5 because you're always washing one, right?" I'm like, "Nah, you don't understand how it works, man. You're a white belt. You don't get it." You know? But that's the thing. Like, the other day, she found like a bag of gis I forgot about, like a big old duffel bag, you know, like it was cool because it had like my original adult judo gi in there, like from my first judo class, you know, it's all beat up and stinky and all that, you know, but I love it, man. I don't want to ever lose that one. But the rest of them, man, I'm like, hey, dude, you know, I got like an old, you know, Tommy gi, like, you know, old school jiu-jitsu gis and stuff. Man, people come, I got them at the gym now, so when people come in, you know.
I still have my first gi. I'll put that in quotes because it's not a real gi.
Oh, it was a karate gi
from 93.
It was hard to find.
You couldn't find. Yeah, so I think it's just like a karate.
Yeah, you know, we used judo gis.
Yeah,
it was hard to find. And then you watch like the old Gracie in action things. They're all wearing like judo gis, right, with the big flare like bell bottom pants and stuff. You know, on the gi pants. Yeah, it's like it's cool how the art and the sport drove industry to like start creating gis specifically for what we do. So now you got these skis that are like tight, you can't get a grip on them and stuff, man. It's like back in the old days, dudes were like spraying Pam all over themselves, and like now you don't have to, man, because you can't grab them anyway. You know, but it's cool, man. So
where can people find you?
1341 Manor Court in Elgin, Illinois.
Sweet.
And that's where we are. The website is sbgillinois.com. And we're on Facebook and Instagram, SBG Illinois.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, and then you can find me on Facebook and Instagram too, just as Paul Sharp. Well, on Instagram it's like Paul Sharp SBG, but you know, and then Facebook, Paul Sharp. Just usually you know, profile picture will be me, some friends doing something dumb.
One of your students at the open mat today, I was changing. And he's like, "Hey, man, when do you have Paul Sharp on?" I'm like, tonight, man, tonight. He's coming on tonight. He's like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's coming on tonight."
That's so good.
I go, but it's not going to air for a few weeks.
That's funny, man. He's probably going to show up at the gym tomorrow with a pimp hand up. He's like, "Where's my money, bitch?"
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Paul.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys, man. I appreciate it, dude. This is awesome getting to talk about jiu-jitsu with cool people, man. I love it, man.
Congratulations on your gym and much success, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll see you guys. Bye. And Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. For more information about Grappler Union Podcast, you could visit us at our website at grapplerunion.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Grappler Union. Please like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel. Say what?
Be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to all that shit. You got to do another take, right?
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Biotropic Labs. Biotropic Labs is a company that makes its own natural and healthy custom formulated sports supplements. I tried them out. Paul has also tried them. We both like how we feel on them. It dramatically and positively improved our performance, allowing us to train and work out at a much higher level and with much more endurance. His products are built around a blood support and oxygen delivery. To learn more about their products, please visit them on the web at biotropiclabs.com. At checkout, use the promo code UNION10 to receive 10% off your order. Your order is also backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, zero-risk purchase. Again, that's biotropiclabs.com. Use the promo code UNION10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
This episode of the Grappler Union Podcast is brought to you by BJJTees. Go to bjjtees.com, enter the promo code Grappler Union, and save 10% off all your jiu-jitsu apparel. Go to bjjtees.com today.
This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Strychnine Jiu-Jitsu, makers of vintage-inspired tees, hoodies, and rash guards. Go to strychnine.co, that's STRYCH9.co, and use the promo code UNION at checkout to receive 20% off your online order.